All right now, welcome back to the J Bravado Show, and thank you for holding or being patient during that brief intermission. And as we go back into the live, let's try to understand what we're consuming optically and auditorily. Um, auditorily, what's going on is the left has a supreme problem. You see what I did there? They have a supreme problem with the president having presidential powers that he chooses and sees fit to use during his presidency. Okay, all right. So, say for instance, right, you have a car, and your car is able to do this X, Y, and Z. You can remove the door handles, you can remove the windows, you can tint it out, you can put bass in the back, you can do everything. You can get twin turbos, you can even put rims on it. Well, that's basically what he's doing with the presidency. He souped up the presidency. You guys just didn't know how to soup up your car when you were driving it, so you just didn't do it. But now that you see it souped up and it's ready to go, you're excited, but you're upset that you didn't do it. That's what's happening right now. Thank you for joining the Jay Bravado Show. Let's go ahead and get back into the oral arguments from the Supreme Court of the United States. Find out what's going on and why they don't want our president to have presidential power. I'm going to roll it. One moment.
Does it require more than the word regulate?
Exactly.
That's your point.
Yes.
Thank you, counsel. Did Mr. Katyal say anything this morning with which you disagree?
No, I think we cleared up any maybe potential disagreement about licensing fees, but I think we all agree on that.
Okay. Justice Thomas? Anything further? Justice King?
Briefly.
Justice Gorsuch?
Thank you, Chief. So I just want to follow up on Justice Sotomayor's question at the end of a long morning, afternoon. It does seem to me, and tell me if I'm wrong, that a really key part of the context here, if not the dispositive one for you, is the constitutional assignment of the taxing power to Congress. The power to reach into the pockets of the American people is just different, and it's been different since the founding and the navigation acts that were part of the spark of the American Revolution, where Parliament asserted the power to tax to regulate commerce. Some of those were revenue raising, some of them didn't raise a lot of revenue. We had a lot of pirates in America at the time. And Americans thought even Parliament couldn't do that had to be done locally through our elected representatives. Isn't that really the major questions, non-delegation, whatever you want to describe it, isn't that what's really animating your argument today?
I think it's a huge piece of what's animating
your argument today.
I think it's a huge piece of what's animating our argument. Thank you.
Justice Kavanaugh? Justice Jackson?
Can I just invite you briefly to address your kind of second tier arguments, assuming that the president can impose these sorts of tariffs? Why do you think, for example, that the trafficking does not deal with the emergency for the purpose of this analysis?
So it doesn't deal with it because it's not a sanction imposed against traffickers. It is, if you think of it as a sanction, it is a sanction imposed against people importing lawful goods in the hope.
Doesn't that that happens all the time, right? I mean, all the other authorities indirectly provide leverage on countries in this way?
I don't think so. I think that they are, the history of IEPA and even of TWIA is imposing sanctions directly on the wrongdoers. These are statutes about providing sanction authority against international actors whose behavior we want to change, and that's not what tariffs.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, counsel. Rebuttal, General Sauer.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Justice. Just 3 points. One, an interpretive point. The statutory language here is regulate importation, and again, by means of instruments, licenses, or otherwise. Their argument is that that phrase carries with it a whole host of unenumerated forms of regulation, including quotas, licenses apparently that come with fees as long as they're sort of profit neutral fees, environmental restrictions, qualitative restrictions, reports, and so forth. It's just that the one form of regulation that they would not include is tariff regulation, which of course is the quintessential, most historically tested method of regulating imports. And so that additional phrase about, by means of instruments, licenses, or otherwise, really sort of reinforces the plain meaning, the ordinary, natural meaning of regulated importation here. So when it comes to just the plain text of the statute, their argument is a donut-type argument, and it's not an argument that does justice to the statute's plain text. On the non-delegation point, Justice Gorsuch, you alluded to the founding era delegations of the Indian Commerce Power, and I just remind the court that in 1790, in July of 1790, Congress passed a statute that essentially delegated to President Washington essentially the entire scope of the Indian Commerce Power. He said you can do commerce with Indians if you have a license that you had to pay a fee for, and that will be subject to such rules and regulations as the president makes with no further guidance. So when it comes to this foreign-facing there, it's obviously analogous because it's the Indian tribes, not foreign sovereigns, but this foreign-facing situation, we have a very sort of deep and profound historical pedigree to broad delegations of the regulation of commerce, right? The foreign commerce power, in that case, the Indian commerce power. And that ties, I think, to what I take to be the main theme of the arguments on the other side. And I think that Mr. Katyal started by saying tariffs are taxes. And I want to complete the answer I think I was giving to the Chief Justice when I got interrupted is, if you look at these tariffs, these policies, it is clear that these policies are most effective if nobody ever pays the tariff. If it never raises a dime of revenue, these are the most effective use of this particular policy. And I said there's two buckets there. One is, first of all, when it comes to the trade deficit emergency, if no one ever pays the tariff, but instead they direct their consumption domestically and spur the creation of the rebuilding of our hollowed out manufacturing base, that directly addresses the crisis. It's more effective if no one ever pays the tariff. That's the point of it, really. That's a fundamental point of it. And that's one piece of these. And then as to both of them, as to both of the declared emergencies, the tariffs are an incentive, a pressure point, leverage, bargaining chip, as the court said in Dames and Moore, to get countries to change their behavior to address the foreign arising emergencies. So if you look, for example, to take a historical example, last week's trade deal with China, it unlocked access to rare earth minerals, which of course have a critical national security aspect to them, and it got China for the very first time to change its policy with respect to fentanyl precursors, which is a crucial piece of that. Those tariffs, if no one ever collects them, but the threat of imposing those tariffs gets China and our other trading partners across the world to change their behaviors in a way that addresses this, then that's the most effective use of the policy. So they're clearly regulatory tariffs, not taxes. They are not, they're not an exercise of the power to tax. They are the exercise of the power to regulate foreign commerce. And that's why the statute says regulate. It doesn't say tax, it says regulate. And for that reason, we are squarely within the tradition that I was talking about before of very broad, historically very broad delegations of the power to regulate foreign commerce to the president because he has inherent Article 2 authority in the area of foreign affairs, although not that. It has to be delegated to him, otherwise the delegation would be superfluous. And for all those reasons, we ask the court to reverse both the decisions below.
Thank you, counsel. The case is submitted.
All right, everyone, we are just listening to the oral arguments there on the Supreme Court, and you just heard there that the case is now submitted, and that is where the justices will continue to deliberate and think amongst themselves as well. on the tariff issue, as well as President Trump's legality for the tariffs. I want to show you the market right now. You saw a rise here, and I want to tell you why. U.S. equities are rising today as chipmaker AMD and other names in the artificial intelligence trade rebounded.
This is why we have the best economy, hands down. This is why the Supreme Court, which they just, I guess they were talking about the tariffs, but this is why the tariffs are working. The screen right here that you see of the New York Stock Exchange, NYSE, the DJI is 47,415.79. 0.70%. That's 0.70%. You see, we went from 10 to 1. That's a good thing. When we went to 1, it went from 47,100 to 47,400. That's a good thing. Somehow they're making it a bad thing for the president to hone those powers, for him to act presidentially and make note of the economy when it's doing bad and make it a good economy. Make America great again. It's the slogan.
From valuation concerns, also the Supreme Court's tough questions about President Donald Trump's tariffs also raised hopes that some of the tariffs may be rolled back. So again, that is how the market is taking a look at this and analyzing really every question that was happening on the Supreme Court. Live look right now at the White.
Even with the tariffs being talked about in the Supreme Court, it still raises leverage at this point. So with the tariffs being in place, it creates some type of levy where we can pull and press down, lift and let go to contain and maintain our current leverage and our current stance in the state and the nation. That's what's going on. The tariffs that's the best leverage I've ever seen. Was even when we're talking about the tariffs, the stock market is rising. Even if we're talking about lowering the tariffs, the stock market is rising. Anyway, did you guys see the Mondami win last night? And if you agree that was a setup, 100%, not in a good way for the Democrats, but in a bad way, because they set themselves up with a communist that wants to freeze rent. That's going to bring down the economy 100%. It's like they brought in someone who may be indoctrinating just a Muslim law that we don't know about, some type of Islamic reign in New York City. That's not going to happen everywhere else because we have conservative cities, Republican cities. That's not going to let that happen. That's Mondami and New York City. Now let's take a look at what Hakeem Jeffries is talking about right now. We have that on screen. One moment.
White House, we are about 15 minutes away.
All right, hold on.
Any other provision besides regulate? Any other verb besides regulate that would? Well,
that Republicans were raising, talking to their communities, having authentic leaders who stand up for their communities. That's how we win.
Abigail Spanberger focused on 3 issues: affordability.
He doesn't know. Look at the excitement. Look at the excitement. He has no idea that he has been set up from the door to the front of his driveway, from the front of his driveway to his office where he sits and makes stunning decisions for the negative of the country. She doesn't even believe him. What I'm saying is these Democrats, they're thinking that what they did, the No Kings rally. See, this is the relic. This is the evil stewed brew from the Democratic side. What they conjured up from the wicked witches and the wizardry on the left was, okay, we'll shut the government down. We'll blame it on Trump. We'll have a no kings rally, which will rally up our base. Insignificant. And then we'll go storming straight into the midterms and try to take it full force. Well, I think it worked. What do you guys think? I think it worked, and I'm excited that it worked. I don't know how many conservatives agree with me, but I'm so excited that it worked because guess what? Now we have the face of the Democrat Party, Ben Mondami. He's a full commie. What I heard earlier was commie Mondami. I'm sorry. And what that's going to do for 2026 is miraculous because, as I see it, you can't maintain anything that he's speaking of. None of the policies that he's going to try to put in place are going to work for either the Democrat or the Republican side in New York City. That's not going to work. Nothing that he's saying is going to work. It's extreme. That's why it's exciting that he's ran and he's won, because that extremity of actions and policies put into place and implemented into New York City's and streets, into all over the place. It might even smear into New Jersey. That's going to be disastrous, and you would never believe it. But if you could see into hindsight, 2020, if you could see what AOC did, Bernie Sanders did, it's just going to be the demise of the Democrat Party all over again. This is not going to work. But let's find out what Hakeem Jeffries is talking about. I forgot he was talking in that pink tie.
As it relates to housing and healthcare and utility prices, she focused on job creation in a state where Donald Trump and his administration have attacked the people of the Commonwealth of Virginia and have caused the economic growth that should otherwise be taking place to collapse. And that, in fact, is occurring under a Republican governor in Virginia as well. And then Abigail focused on the highest quality education for the children of the Commonwealth of Virginia. Abigail Spanberger focused.
First and foremost, Virginia is a Democrat state, so it's unlikely that something historic has happened, other than the fact that she's a woman and two women were running. There is nothing that stood out in Abigail Spanberger but the commercial from her opponent. That's when I noticed her. When I saw the commercial, I was like, what's the problem? What's the lean over the podium and stare into her eyes and the question? What was that all about? So when I cut the volume up, I noticed that she was saying, why, Abigail? Why? Why don't you tell him to get off of the ticket? Well, he won. And that's another win for the conservative party. Let me explain it to you. Here's the detail. The reason why the Democrat Party will continue to win while the left is being extreme to the most extreme, to the utmost extreme, is because no one wants an extreme leader, unless not the majority. I mean, the kids are loving it. I'm going to tell you, the Gen Zers are loving the the false lies and the the real lies, but the false, the fantasy that Mondami has created, the freezing of the rent and the maybe like the dragons and the video games that he's going to release. Like, we don't know what he promised. The package is retarded. Excuse my language. It's crazy, and I can say that because this is the Jay Rivaldo show. They won't ban me. It's stupid. I can say that too. And when I say retarded, I mean like slow as an idea. Like, there was no logic implemented. There was no his IQ maybe dropped 18, 15, 17, 25, 30, 80 points when he made those decisions. Maybe he didn't make those decisions. Maybe he used ChatGPT, the 5 version. We don't know. We don't know what happened when they were in the den, in the evil Dracula's den, making those decisions. We don't know what they were doing with Farrakhan and them. I don't know. This is Islamic nation that he's trying to bring and indoctrinate into New York City. That's all that I'm saying. Let me stop talking and rambling because I want to get back to Hakeem Jeffries as he rambles. It's better for my channel when he rambles.
On the issues that matter. Here's what Republicans did. They spent tens of millions of dollars trying to weaponize the transgender issue. It failed. And they spent tens of millions of dollars criticizing Abigail Spanberger for deeply inappropriate text messages that were sent by the Attorney General candidate.
Well, I mean, wouldn't it look bad on you if you're representing the Democrat Party in any way, shape, form, or fashion, and you decided to say nothing about what he did and just continue going? I've heard this saying that the Democrats will vote blue no matter who. Guess what? They did. Jay Jones, he could threaten. They had a guy on the roof. His name was Tyler Robinson. Did we forget about Charlie? They had a guy on the roof, and then they celebrated. This is nothing awing or jarring to me. I'm not flabbergasted, at a loss for words, and I've lost all vernacular and means to spit words out of my mouth at a regular rate. I'm not gassed and taken aback by the regularity and the normalcy of the Democrat Party. That's not astonishing to me. What? They voted for a communist. They celebrated a death. They wanted more war and all type of civil war inside of our nation. That's what the Democrats live for. Hopefully we're not surprised by any of this. Okay? This is not surprising to me, and hopefully it is not surprising to you, because guess what? This is normal. Okay, so they would rather ask about, and here's the funny thing. Is the White House going to hold and state Dick Cheney? Wait, what? Okay, not the whataboutism. I'm not here for that. I just want to ask, what if you guys just got ignored because we are still mourning Charlie Kirk? And right now, we'll get to it. Well, maybe, who knows who's going to make that decision. But right now, we're still mourning Charlie. Some of us are. We have Candace Owens. I only have good things that I wish for her. I don't know what she's going through mentally. I don't know what Erica's going through mentally. But Candace has a platform. And to me, when I watch it, it's a little weird. And Nick Fuentes, he's getting a little odd too. Okay, so here's the deal. I can't speak on things that I don't know. I watch Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens. I do not watch Nick Fuentes. I just heard about the guy. I just found out where he comes. He's like a college student. He's a Gen Zer. He's going to be wow and fan. He has the wow factor. He's going to wow you, because that's what the new generation does. They'll come out halter tops, green shoes to match their purple hat, to match their orange and gray and brown jeans that they have a hole in. There's all the way up to their thigh, exploiting their whole life. Then they'll be mad at you when you say something about it, like, hey, what do you have on? Do you remember when they used to say, what are those? Now I look at the Gen Z, the new up and coming generation, and I wonder, what are those? What are all of those? Who are those? Who are them? Who are those people? That's what I wonder. What are those has become, who are you? You're unfamiliar. Let's get back to the video. I'm sorry, I'm rambling again.
But not a dime in actually talking about what they would do for the people of Virginia.
Okay, so we have a reaction right now live to the mic. We're going to skip past Corey because we don't care about anything that he's talking about. All right, let's get straight to it.
Congress has the power to impose tariffs on the American people, and tariffs are nothing but taxes on the American people, paid by Americans. This case is not about the president, it's about the presidency. It's not about partisanship, it's about principle. And above all, It's about upholding the majestic separation of powers laced into our Constitution that is the foundation for our government. We thank the justices today for their extensive questioning in this case, and we look forward to the resolution.
Thanks, Neil. Good afternoon. I'm Sarah Albrecht from the Liberty Justice Center, and I have the pleasure of working with Michael McConnell and Neil and our private plaintiffs on behalf of all small businesses in the United States. We are very proud to have brought this case to challenge unlawful and unconstitutional tariffs that are devastating small businesses across the country. Like all Americans, we are endowed with the right to take our government to court when it violates the law or defies the Constitution. In this case, it did both. These unilateral tariffs imposed without congressional authorization are unlawful. IEEPA does not permit authorization are unlawful. IEEPA does not permit the president to issue this kind of sweeping arbitrary tariffs at issue in this case. They're also unconstitutional. Tariffs are taxes. And the Constitution grants taxes to Congress, not the president. Our founders designed a system of separation of powers to prevent exactly this kind of unilateral, lawless action. We thank the court for their time and look forward to the resolution of this matter.
Hi there, everyone. Thank you for coming today. I'm Victor Owen Schwartz, founder of VOS Selections. For nearly 40 years, my family has built this business from the ground up. Today, reckless tariffs threaten everything we've achieved. Let's be clear, these tariffs aren't paid by foreign governments or companies. It's American businesses like mine and American consumers that are footing the bill for the billions of dollars collected monthly by our government. Unlike past tariffs set by Congress that we could plan around, these new tariffs are arbitrary. They're unpredictable and they're bad for business. They've thrown my family business and thousands of others into chaos. The pain has been felt across the country, from warehouse workers and truckers to retailers and restaurateurs. That's why I joined this lawsuit. I was shocked that those with more power and money did not step up. The reason I was able...
All right, that was lawyers there representing small business owners against tariffs in this country there. So we'll...
We're going to go back to Corey to see what he was talking about also. But what do you guys think about the tariffs and how terrible are the tariffs? Someone stopped me yesterday and they said, hey, you voted for that guy. He was black, like me. Yeah, okay. You voted for that guy. Yeah. I was like, yeah. Yeah, I did. Hold on. Because we're so far apart. You know, us Afrocentric people are so used to yelling and screaming across the parking lot. I didn't want to do that. To me, that's unkept, uncouth, and it looks tacky, and you look ignorant. So I don't yell across the parking lot. So I approached the guy. I said, hey, this is a perfect time for me to enlighten you and educate you on something that you should know. Because you, as a black man, have been swamped and drowned in quicksand from the wandering eye of the Democrat Party. See, now they're wondering what you would do if they don't see you anymore. Oh, let in all the illegal immigrants. We don't have to wander anymore. They'll let them all wander in. That they have a wandering spirit. But he was pressed down by the Democrat Party and their wandering spirit. Loose. A loose spirit that has no merit. They want DEI. They want uneducated administration. They want everything to come from out of anywhere but nowhere because it has no backing. It has no foundation. It has no rhyme or reason. What are we doing today, Democrat Party? And I'm just going to create a scenario, a whatism, a whataboutism. What are we going to do today? Oh, I know what we're going to do today. We're going to trick our base, make them believe something that is far out, dude. I mean, far out. Oh, like a binary. a brand new category of genders. That'll confuse them and have them talking about it for years and years to come. It'll have them so distracted while they're continuing to vote for us, and we'll be fine. Well, okay, well, let's think like an adult, and let's think like someone who cares about the future of their country. Having a bunch of people that want to call themselves anything but an AI robot, RGG5317, they want to conform the new generation into just far out things that no one could even imagine. But these are our adult leaders that are making up these horrific ideas to put upon the new generation, put upon the children, the future of our country. They don't want them to go to school and get an education to be smart. That's not what the Department of Education is for them. And in their eyes, the Department of Education is for indoctrination into their ideas so that you can come out of school believing that you are a goat or a rabbit or Casper, the friendly ghost. I mean, you could be anything you want to be in the Democrat Party, including a magazine, something inanimate. They don't care if it makes sense. I make up a lot of things. Me and my daughter, we play around, and I pretend like I don't see her, but she's clearly there. This is what the Democratic Party has become. Okay? So what we have to realize, and what I'm going to end up doing for my audience, is I'm going to start bringing you guys news and information that makes sense. I'm going to break it down. I'm going to simplify it. Like, 1 + 1 is 2. I'm not saying that my audience is stupid. I know my audience is not, but I want to bring in the people that are. So I'm going to have my audience, of course, that we all know what's going on pretty much for the most part, but we need to bring in the people like the independents and the moderates because they are lost. And obviously, Mandami won yesterday, but that's not a bad thing for us because we obviously know that having someone like that as the face of the Democrat Party is a loss for the Democrat Party in a nutshell, and all over the place. It's going to be a loss from here all the way to 2028. Okay. Now, the downside to that is if they get control of the House, then we're doomed. All right. We don't want that. So let's get out and vote in 2026. That's next election, I think. All right. Okay. So now I said all of that to say the guy that's suppressed and penalized, but he doesn't know it. He's put a penalty on himself because he has yet to realize that the Democrat plantation has him under their grip, under their grasp, in a chokehold. He can't get away from. It's a Roman Greco wrestling move that they have put on him, and he can't get out. Jiu-jitsu, voodoo, handu, hamtanju. He's never going to come out of the frozen state that he's in. Wait, that's Medusa. I got a lot of things to say. King Hungmun Tatman Ra. What? Turn him into a pillar of salt or turn around and look behind you and you'll never be able to move again. It's the same thing. Medusa, they told it in the Bible in a different way. It's a different story. They turned around and they got frozen. Like if you look at the Medusa in her eyes, it's the same thing. That's Greek and this is America. All right? I just told you a folk tale in the Bible story. You get what I'm saying? You see what I did? All right? Translate it. But one of them, I can agree with a little bit more because I don't believe in Medusa. But you know what I mean? The guy is stuck in the past. And he says to me, you voted for that guy. He gonna keep us in slavery. I said, what? You voted for that dude. He gonna keep us in slavery. He gonna put us back in slavery, bro. I said, what are you, crazy? What are you, nuts? I couldn't get my camera out to record fast enough because it was calamity. It was outrageous. It was chaotic in my mind. I was like, wow, this is the perfect opportunity for me to educate this guy on what he doesn't know, and maybe he'll come out of the dark hole like a fox. Nope. That they don't do. If you tell them the truth, well, I'll tell you what happened. So I say, sir, How would that happen? How would Trump take us back to slavery, sir? What about them tariffs? Huh? So, you see, they don't explain what the outrageous statements that they make that's egregious. They don't explain those. They just move on to the next, I guess, CNN talking point. What about those tariffs? I went out. First of all, you stole that purse. I don't think you can find a Louis Vuitton purse. And if you can, then let me know. I don't know if it was real, if it was old, it was on clearance, but I went out and got my girlfriend a purse. I'm him again. I went out and got my girlfriend a purse, and it was $100. You know what them China people do? Wait, what? I went out and got my girlfriend a purse. It was $100. It was $100? What? A Louis Vuitton purse? Mind you, I said purse, but he said Louis Vuitton purse. I have the video. I have it. I have the commentary. He said, I went out and got my girlfriend $100 purse, Louis Vuitton. And you know how much they paid for that purse? He doesn't know how much they paid for that purse to make that purse. He doesn't know. He just paid the consumer rate. And that's what we had to touch on. I said, are you speaking about the fact that the consumers are charging you more for the purse because of so-called tariffs? He wanted to move on again. I said, but really quickly, before we move on from the tariffs, I want to let you know because, and also he probably didn't know this, because the consumer could be the wrong consumer. You could probably be going to the store that's scamming you because that's a scam price for a Louis Vuitton high-end quality purse, my guy. Sir, my good sir. Anyway, it doesn't make any sense, brother. You know what I'm saying? I don't care if we broke from the hood or from, but if it doesn't make any sense, it doesn't make any sense. I even tell the closest friend. Sometimes I tell my mom, that doesn't make sense. It's okay to tell your parents, hey, it doesn't make sense. She's a Democrat, but she's leaning on the right side of things. It took a long time, but she also agrees with a lot of things that the conservatives do. And she also doesn't agree with what the Democrats are starting to do. See, what I'm saying to you is it's a new day, and the Democrats are going to lose their base 100%. They don't have a MAGA party. They have liberal, moderate, progressive. They'll never be able to come back together again like Humpty Dumpty. All right? The guy, he's out here talking about tariffs, $100 Louis Vuitton purse, and he ends the conversation because I tell him that USAID was sending money overseas for transvestite and education for that and LGBT fundraisers and parades. He said, what's USAID? I said, well, this conversation has to be over. I said, you don't remember when Elon Musk came into the government, he discovered the USAID was making all type of falsery happen? Not in America. I mean, it still would have been bad in America, but overseas for transvestite?
Continue to wait for more updates from.
I say that guy needs to do some research, and maybe he'll soon come out of the Democrat Party and out of the plantation scot-free. No headache, no scars, no harm, no foul. Let's get back to the video. Thank you for watching.
Not working out, so we'll keep an eye on that right here for you on Live Now from Fox. What we wanted to do now, right there outside of the.
How working incredibly hard to hear from so many New Jerseyans and identify those are going to be so important to driving costs down, making life easier, making people have more access to opportunity that we really, I think, have engaged with so many people, have such great thought leaders. I'm excited about the plan we've built out, but we'll keep going back and forth to make sure we're driving the right agenda forward.
Governor, you return to the mandate concept. How do you interpret these results? Last night in New Jersey, Virginia, and how do you blend that with what happened in New York City?
Well, I'm really focused on governing here in New Jersey. And so to see that we had, one Gloucester, one Morris County, I mean, that was pretty seismic, I think. Jack won both those counties by 11 points the last time he ran. So to see white working class voters coming out, we saw, Newark perform like it hasn't since 2005. So driving that vote out, I think, with a real mandate from Newark to drive in opportunity, good education systems. Passaic County, I think, swung 18 points. Hudson County swung 22. So what I saw was that our message was resonating because I think these working class communities, whether it's, suburbs in Gloucester or Black communities or Latino communities depend so much on good governance. People I hear from want great schools. They see that, as do I, as the opportunity their kids need to succeed. They want good job opportunities to get ahead, want to be able to afford a home, to start to build generational wealth. These are key issues. And so the reason I was so focused on affordability issues is because my community is so focused on affordability issues and how they're going to be successful. And then taking on some of what we see coming from Washington, because it's driving up prices everywhere, putting people out of business, stopping the economic growth of our economy. So when I say I have a mandate, that's what I have a mandate to do, is really focus in on working families.
Can I ask about that?
She sounds like a Democrat. I mean, sometimes we can sound like a Democrat, even if we're conservative or Republican. She sounds like a Democrat. I'm just saying. And also, New Jersey has Cory Booker. They had Hoagie Man. The Hoagie Fest was back all over New Jersey. He's gone. You have Cory Booker. You have her. I mean, I think we know what's going on in New Jersey, and now we know what's going on in New York. What I wanted to say was, who was the other president? And I'm going to let you guys get right back to the video. Who was the president? It was another president right recently. I was like Hussein, because he did tariffs too. Like Hussein, Barack Hussein, Barack Hussein Obama also implemented tariffs. You goose.
But on the mandate, other than the electrical rates, freezing them on day one, what specific promise have you made that is reflects your mandate? I mean,
Expanding the first-time home buyers credit so people can get their foot in the door, taking on landlords who are colluding to drive up rental prices, taking on PBMs. Those are the middlemen in drug pricing to drive down drug costs. Addressing the fact that the state health benefits plan is in a death spiral. That's not only raising costs on medical care, but also driving up property taxes. Schools, looking at how the bloated administration system in the schools, which is driving up property taxes as well. But we're still not getting the results in third grade reading that we want to see. So addressing third grade reading, phonics-based education for our teachers, expanding that program, high intensity tutoring because we still have learning loss problems. These are all the things that we work with communities on throughout the last year, and what we're hearing from communities that they want to see front and center in the agenda.
During your transition,
Talk about Latinos. You mentioned that they care about education, but they also care about families. And families right now are being divided and deported by the current administration in Washington. What is your plan to either fight or stop this?
So I'm committed to making sure people here feel safe, getting to school safely, getting to church safely, going to report crime safely. And that is what I'm going to do as governor, also taking on those people who are not following the law and the Constitution. We're hearing reports of ICE agents picking up people who are here legally, not even allowing them to show any papers.
All right, now that's all I wanted to hear. That's all I wanted to hear was the core. They're creating. What did I say earlier? Because the immigration battle has become something so prevalent and more existent than anything else that they're talking about. Why? Because the wandering party of the Democrat, Liberal Party, Progressive, wild, far left, radical party, Socialist, Communist Party is that if they have to wonder about you, then they're going to replace you. See, they said, okay, the African American vote is out of the picture a little bit. We don't know. So we're going to stop pushing DEI while we still push DEI under the radar, while we, pander still to the blacks. We still want to keep them somewhere around, but we have to get the immigrants in and fight for them more than we fight for the African American base that we were fighting for years because, they had them in the bag. But now I think what's going on, if you look around you, take a wide eye panoramic view on what's going on around you in the United States of America, you're going to see that basically the immigrants are coming in droves, and they're fighting for that so that they'll be prepared for 2028 when the immigrants actually vote with no voter ID. Do you see what's going on?
That they are here legally, people who are citizens here. We're also hearing from police officers that there are agents on the street dressed like they are going to Afghanistan. And so making sure that any agents, law enforcement here on the streets is easily identifiable as such. And at the same time, I don't want to discount our Latino community is our most entrepreneurial community. So I'm hearing a lot about red tape and permitting issues for businesses, a lot about concerns of affordability here in our state as well. So these are, this is a community that wants to see both safety, as you've brought up, for their families, for their community, but also good opportunity here with jobs and affordability.
Brad, I think you had a question, Brad. Yeah. Brad.
What about those people that haven't had a chance to legalize themselves? For example, a couple of weeks ago, a bodega owner, a longtime resident of New Jersey, was, apprehended by ICE. Is there any way to help those people under your government?
There's certainly a way to ensure people have proper representation and that we work hard with our federal delegation to get better processes in place. So TPS recipients, make sure we address TPS. I've been a big supporter of that for Haitians and extending that, for example, ensuring people have a pathway to citizenship. I've been a big fan of comprehensive immigration reform, making sure people have that. A lot of this is something that we've come very close to time and again. And in the most recent case, Trump, I think, undermined it because he thought it was better for his campaign not to effectively address that.
Brad had a question.
So go ahead. And just going off of this theme, so will you or will you not continue to do contested elections?
So I am focused on keeping people safe here, and I've lined that out exactly how that'll operate. But the Immigrant Trust Directive has a lot of those aspects in it, which I've been supportive of.
Governor-elect, as you know, a lot of people seem to want your own job. I guess they think it's easy. So.
Well, that nobody's. They won't open Congress up because the Speaker doesn't want to release the Epstein files. So it's.
Any idea when you might be formally resigning? You don't have to do it when the election is. And will you be getting involved in that 11 race in terms of endorsing anybody?
So we'll be working with leadership in the House as well as our legislature here to, as smoothly as possible, run the special election to get a new person in that seat. I likely won't be getting involved. There are some great candidates in there. So
Who are the candidates?
I know Malinowski announced. Has anyone? Yes. There's an.
All right. So up next, we have President Donald J. Trump speaking at the Business Forum. I'm going to play that live for you also, and then I'm going to have to work on my video. I have to edit that so I can put that out also. I work very hard on these YouTube edits and lives and just trying to get my videos out there so my audience can see them, but sometimes I get, Anyway, YouTube is a funny place to be sometimes. It's a funny place to be. All right, so like I said before, we have Donald J. Trump coming up next. I'm going to air that for you live. He's going to speak at the Business Forum. Let's see if I can get a clip of that right now. Yeah, but we will have that coming up for you guys next on the Jay Ravato Show. Until then, I want to speak about something also that is looming in the Democrat Party, which I don't think no one else has noticed. But Gavin Newsom, in the redistricting map that he has ployed and rummaged up, he summons this redistricting map now. That's, I think they called it like Project 50 or something like that. Or I had this on the tip of my tongue. Proposition 50. So they were talking about that last night on this live show on NBC. And the only thing that I can say about Proposition 50 is that Gavin Newsom is probably going to run for president in 2028. And that's why he's ramping up all of the base and he's doing all this craziness just to get attention on California. Now, we've put a lot of attention on California when there were rampant fires running through uh, your republic. You're okay with your city almost burning to a crisp while you collect the insurance money, but you're not okay with the president putting in the presidential powers and the necessary tools in place to keep the country safe and prospering. That's weird to me. And also, he pulled back his words. He said on the podcast, I'm pretty sure you've all heard that. At one moment, his son was all for Charlie Kirk, and then he pulled those words back. He redacted those and said, no, you know what? No, he's not really for him. I think he just watched him or something like that. Okay. That's all fine and dandy. Now, when we get to the truth or whatever's going on in California, we'll let you know. I'm pretty sure if I find out, I'll let you know first. Or if you guys find out, then comment down below if you found out already. What's going on in California? If you're in California right now and you know what Gavin Newsom is scrummaging up and what he's planning to do to California, then let me know in the comment section. That would be great to know. I'm not in California, but I'm doing all the research that I could possibly do. All right. Now, we are back to America Business Forum. And I don't know if Donald Trump is about to speak as of yet, but we're going to get the footage up for you so you can see exactly what's going on. I don't want you to miss anything, and I don't want to miss anything myself. Neither do I. All right. One moment. Let's see. I'm trying to get away from these breaks and commercials, but I like to talk to you guys about things that I see on the screen. I don't want you to miss any information, so I try to pause it and get you that information and then get back to the news. I won't let you miss that either. Okay? One moment. Let's see. All right. So we don't have the business forum up because it's just hiding. You know what? I think the word can't is just the odd word to say out of your mouth, and I don't believe in it. So let's do something that we can do and go back to the election results from last night. We're going to watch that. And when we do have President Donald J. Trump coming up to speak at the platform on the microphone, then we'll play that also. Okay? Stay tuned. Video drop this fully edited. It's not live, and that'll be tonight or maybe this afternoon. And it's with Bill Maher, and he's talking about the Ghost brand. I'm going to try to get that video out. I've been working on it since last night, all right? Fox News, Democracy 25, election night.
Let's bring in our panel, Dana Perino, Shannon Bream, Harold Ford Jr., and Charlie Hurt. Great to have all of you with us as we look at these results and very significant wins for Democrats tonight, Dana.
So my partner in crime over there, Bill Hemmer, mentioned the polling, and I think that's going to be one of the threads that people are going to want to pull after this, because the polling did suggest much tighter races. That is not what happened. But you know what was undefeated, and I'm sure Britt Hume will talk about this, and that is the betting markets. And so I think that the whole polling industry has to take a look and say, with these phones, with the new ways to do it, what do we don't have a handle on? I do think that to the extent that there was any story at all is a little bit of a surprise. These are blue states. There shouldn't have been much suspense, but I think that because the Democrats are in such disarray, aside from the Democratic Socialists, who appear to be going very strong, the Democrats are going to have a very difficult time. And I know my friend Harold is going to try to say that Zohran Mamdani is not a Democrat.
Well, he's going to start by
socialist.
He's going to start by saying thanks for having me.
He's going to be so glad to be on the table, but he already said that to me earlier today. But I think it's going to be very difficult from a messaging standpoint. All of the energy is behind Zohran Mamdani. And I remember something that George Will said. Every 20 years or so, people need a controlled experiment in socialism to remind them of why they need adults in charge. And unfortunately, for the city that is not of my birth, but is certainly the one that I adopted and that I love this place. I do hope for the best. I wish him the best and hope that he can love it as much as we do.
But Harold, you know, a lot of people in New York thought Bill de Blasio was that, and that it didn't work, and that this was not going to happen again. And here they are. And you wonder what this means for this city and what it means for your party.
Well, it is good to be back around the table. It's a blessing to be able to do this coverage. I'd say a couple of things. The last two mayors we've had in this city, Bill de Blasio and Eric Adams, many people thought that they were national figures, and they embraced that national figuredom that was put on them. Bill de Blasio ran for president. His campaign was roundly rebuffed. Eric Adams was on a trajectory, then he ran into some hurdles and opposition, some of it self-inflicted. But as he leaves office tonight, crime is coming down and New York remains a place where people want to invest. We come to Mr. Mamdani. I'm surprised by some of the numbers also. I'm a Democrat. I'm not a Democrat socialist. Tonight will be interesting to hear his speech. Is it unifying? Does he reach out to Jessica Tisch? Does he try to allay some of the concerns?
The police commission.
Yes, Jessica Tisch, who's our police commissioner, who has shepherded this crime reduction, violent crime reduction in our city, and made, I live in this city and vote in this city. My kids go to school in this city, and make it easier for kids to take the subway, and for that matter, all New Yorkers to take the subway. Two, this was a good night for Dems. If Dems had lost one of these states, we'd be saying this is a terrible night. Dems won by 14 points in both Virginia and Virginia and New Jersey, and we won the Supreme Court races in Pennsylvania, and we retained the Public Service Commission seats in Georgia. Now, some will say we held serve. You got to hold serve to win. This is tomorrow, as we get ready for the political day, Mr. Trump and Republicans will have some questions to answer. The shutdown will still be on people's minds. I'll be curious to know, if we look at some of the polling, did the shutdown play in New Jersey?
I'm going to say it one more time. As I stated before in the video, you can go back and you can play it and hear what I said before. I might not say the exact same thing, but you see 50.3% of people voted for Mamdani. Why? Because they've already set up the stage for him to, mind you, New York, they don't like Trump. So Trump endorsed Cuomo, whatever how you say it. Trump endorsed him, and when he endorsed him, then they said, okay, all the Democrats in the wonderful world of Walt Democrat, what they decided to do as a union is to say this is an anti-Trump election, anti-Trump vote. So call it a trope. There's an anti-Trump vote. What they want to do is show their resistance against Donald J. Trump. Let's all keep in mind, we still have the president as Donald J. Trump. I know that this liberates the Democrats because they fought back and they won in certain cities that will eventually be their demise. But let's find out what he has to say.
In Virginia in these last week or two, as we talked about SNAP benefits and so forth. I don't know the answer to that. And two, there's a big conversation that's going to take place at the Supreme Court tomorrow about the legality of the tariffs. So the world goes on tomorrow. But as we sit here tonight, Democrats had a good night. And where I agree with Dana, we've got to decide if Mr. Mamdani is going to be the face of our party. I say
which he is. And that's the setup. As long as you have a commie social, if you have that guy as the face of the Democrat Party, you're guaranteed to lose every single election from here on out. He's like the male AOC. Didn't she endorse him?
I mentioned de Blasio and Adams because everyone thought they could be the leaders. But I argue the San Francisco mayor, Daniel Lurie, a Democrat who beat a Democrat in the primary, who wanted to face down crime and make San Francisco more attractive. The mayor of Philadelphia, who beat a Democrat, a black woman, who's addressing crime in a very different way. So there are mayors around the country who had to deal with realities. I wish Mr. Mamdani the best, and I hope that the questions that people have about anti-Semitism and his lack of commitment to our police, I hope he's able to allay some of those concerns starting this evening.
President Trump is weighing in. He just posted on Truth Social, quote, Trump wasn't on the ballot and shutdown were the two reasons that Republicans lost elections.
I agree 100% because if he was on the ballot, then Trump, of course, he would have won. He would have beat everybody because I have to say, and I don't know if you guys agree with this statement or not, but Trump has his own party. The MAGA conglomerate is specifically based around what Trump has in mind for America, and we agree with that. We don't agree with the outrageous and it's just like asinine things that they're coming up with on the Democrat side, on the left. It doesn't make any sense. So until it makes sense, and I'm a conservative, but I will vote for a Democrat if it does make sense. However, it doesn't make any sense.
Tonight, Charlie Hurt.
That's a very Trumpian message, and it's true. I would say that it certainly was not a bad night for Democrats. But I would temper it a little bit. You know, if we sat back 6 months ago and sort of predicted the outcome of all of these races, we probably would have done a better job of getting it all right than you would by reading the polls in the last couple of weeks. Dana raises a great point, though, about the betting markets. It's like, who is it that's getting in late? I mean, they nail these things. Yeah. And even if the betting markets are wrong the day before the election, by the time, polls close, they are like within a tenth of a point. It does kind of, I'm suspicious enough, it makes me wonder whether or not it's not campaign people doing it. But look, if you go back 40 years, not only are Virginia and New Jersey both solidly blue states now. If you go back, their reputation for voters rejecting whatever party won the White House in the previous year is almost without fail. There have been 2 examples, one in each state over the past 40 years, where they haven't done that. So this is not to be unexpected. I don't think that it's not a bad night for Democrats, but I don't know that you can really spike the ball here. Certainly Democrats won the expectations game because of the last couple of weeks, but they still have monumental problems. Not only do you have a communist in New York City, and we'll see how he decides to govern, but you also have the Jay Jones in Virginia that Republicans are going to be able to run against both of these people all across the country.
Shannon, one of the things that President Trump has gotten a lot of traction on is the issue of crime, removing illegal migrants who are here who have committed crimes. And Mamdani, has said some very dark things about the New York City police. We all remember Bill de Blasio having the police en masse turn their backs to him at a New York City police officer funeral. So that's one of the things that I think we're going to really be watching is this relationship with the police, because 9% are going to leave the city. It's going to be a huge percentage of police officers we know as well.
Yeah, and think about what he said about not working with the NYPD, working with ICE, not working together. And he said essentially wants to double down on the sanctuary city laws that you have here in New York City. And so for a lot of people who live and work and spend their money here or decide to take it and go somewhere else, that's been a huge issue for him. And also all of these promises that you can always make the promises during the campaigns. We know that's what all candidates do. There are some folks, like very controversial folks like Linda Sarsour, who say, I'm going to be staying here and watching. You can't just go in there and do whatever the hell you want. We're going to be enforcing from the outside to make sure that you line up with the progressive things that you promised and that we put you there to do. So it'll be interesting to see how he governs.
Some of those interviews, he was walking back a couple of the things already as of this morning.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey.
I definitely agree with that 100%. If you guys do, let me know in the comment section down below. And if you don't agree with that, then also let me know in the comment section down below. What I have to say about that is that Mamdani is going to try to appease the left and the progressive side, and probably the liberal side, and the radical side, and the social side. He's going to be trying to appease. He's going to be appeasing left and right all over the place. Whether to defund the police or don't defund the police. You see, he pulled back yesterday on defunding the police. He didn't know if he wanted to defund the police or not, and then that's what he ran on, but then he pulled back. But what's going to happen is they're going to shove their Democrat hand, metaphorically, up his rear and make him the puppet of the Democrat Party. That reminds me of, what's that guy? I can never remember his name. It's so foreign. Hussein. Yes. Barack Hussein. Yeah. It reminds me of Barack Hussein because you know what? Right. There have been transgender people forever. I understand that. Wait a minute. Let me respond. Let me respond to this really quickly. Okay. So someone said, let me put this up here so I can respond properly to it. There have been transgender people forever. Do some research before you say things that aren't true. Do you realize you're just making up stuff that isn't true? Could you elaborate? I don't know if that's geared towards me or not. I don't. Who is this? Emia Home 4687. Please actually do some real research. People are not identifying as magazines. Okay. All right. Okay. I was using outlandish example for an outlandish situation. Can I say? I wish I could hear from a Republican who isn't lying. I am a conservative. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and like your comment. I am a conservative, and I am not lying. I am creating examples that resonate to the monstrosity and the wild things that are coming from, or at least that I think, subjectively. I think it's subjective to me. So I'm saying that, and we're going to get over to Senator Chucky, okay, Schumer. We're going to get over. I would love to hear what he's saying right now, but you know, please don't take that seriously. The magazines and goats, okay. You know that's not, but what I'm saying is, like, how could you be so extreme, and what do you want to genderize yourself with? Like, I'm a man, so I would be considered a him, a he, his. You got his and hers, but then, like, once you started adding more like acronyms and abbreviations to identify yourself, it confused me, and I feel strongly about that. I don't feel like this is something that you can do and just say you must obey what I said because I am feeling like I am non-binary. That's not fair to the receiving end of the, not, no pun intended. It's a joke if it was, but it wasn't intended to be a joke. What I'm saying is, like, the receiving, hold on. The receiving end of the conversation has to be receptive to understanding what you want to talk about and you want to be called. And if they don't understand
effort. So
they
we'll
just,
be keeping an eye
rather
on all of
go
these
with
comments
what's
from President.
normal. I'm sorry, they would rather go with what's normal to them. But I'm gonna leave you guys right there with that, and we'll talk about it in the next video. We'll talk about it anytime you want to. But thank you for the comment, though. I really appreciate that. Let's go ahead and get into Donald J. Trump. He's going to speak at the American Business Forum, and that's coming up right now on the Jay Rovato Show. All right now.
Trump at the America Business Forum. Speaking right before him was the motivational speaker Tony Robbins. So President Trump, the keynote speaker at the event today, and will be going to the podium here in just moments to discuss not only the economy, but also tariffs as well. So we'll be definitely listening in to all of these comments. You will see them here without any commercial interruption on Live Now from Fox. So let's bring it to you right now in full out in Miami for President Trump.
Wow, what a nice group. And I love Miami. I love to be with the people. Many of you are not from Miami, but that's okay too. And I'm thrilled to be back in magnificent Florida, Miami, Florida, with thousands of incredible business leaders and true American patriots. That's what you are. We're gathered today on the one-year anniversary of the single most consequential election victory, they say. This is them, this isn't me. I'm a very modest person, I would never say this. The single most consequential election victory in American history is possible. I mean, it's possible. We've done a lot. On November 5th, 2024, the American people reclaimed our government. We restored our sovereignty. We lost a little bit of sovereignty last night in New York. But we'll don't worry about it. We rescued our economy on that magnificent night. 365 days ago, you know, I was with a group of very important people, and they say, think of it, last week, just last week, 6 days ago, 7 days ago, they said, you were campaigning 1 year ago. I said, no, it felt like I've been in this position for so long.
It's felt like about 2 years to me.
And it's right. At that point, 1 year ago, I was actually campaigning. We did the McDonald's shot. Remember the McDonald's shot? We did the garbage truck shot. And actually, the McDonald's one was the biggest hit in the history of Google. Can you believe that? Number one, the garbage truck did well, but not as well. I guess there's something about McDonald's, right? But it worked, and we won a tremendous election. We won all 7 swing states. We won the great state of Florida, by the way, by 1.4 million votes, which is unprecedented. Biggest victory ever in Florida, including an 11-point victory right here in a place called Miami-Dade County. We won the popular vote for the first time of any Republican in many decades. We won the Electoral College 312 to 226. And we won 86% of the counties in America. That's a big one. 2,700 to 525. I'd say that's called landslide, right? We got more votes from African Americans than any Republican candidate in history. We also won a record share of votes from the incredible Hispanic American community. There might be a couple of us left. Biggest vote in history. And above all, we won a resounding mandate to make America great again, which is what we're doing. And every day since, I've been fighting to turn the promise made into the ultimate promise kept. We're going to do our job. We have a big job to do. We've done really well. I think it's the best 9 months, they say, of any president. And I really believe that if we can have a few more 9 months like this, you'd be very happy. You'd be very satisfied. But it's been pretty incredible, with trillions and trillions of dollars being poured back into our country by other countries and other places and people. 1 year ago, we were a dead country. Now we're a country that's considered the hottest country anywhere in the world. It's the hottest country. We are now in the hottest country anywhere in the world. And I'm pleased to report that today the United States has the strongest economy, the strongest borders, the strongest military, the strongest friendships, and the strongest spirit of any nation anywhere. We have the greatest economy right now. A lot of people don't see that. But if you look at what's happening with all the factories, AI, auto plants all over the country being built, that if you would have thought about that 2 or 3 years ago, you would have said it was the opposite. They were all leaving. Now they're all coming in. They're all coming back, and then some. And I think that we can honestly say, and I think you're going to see it even more so over the next 12 months, that this is the golden age of America. This is the golden age. In the prior 4 years, crooked Joe Biden oversaw less than $1 trillion of new investment in the United States. So in 4 years, think of it, less than 1 trillion. That was not doing too good. In 9 months, I've secured commitments of over $18 trillion, and we're going to have $21 trillion within the first year. So Sleepy Joe did, think of that. In 4 years, he did less than $1 trillion. We're going to have 21 trillion in 1 year. I would say it's slightly better.
And that goes directly back to resonating with the tariffs. And that's maybe one of the reasons why we have those trillions of dollars is flowing into America again, is because of the tariffs. Go back in the video, you'll see. They don't want this. They don't want success in America.
Slightly, just a little bit better. The stock market is set 40-time all-time record highs, and just recently, record high. All of them, all of the different exchanges. GDP growth in the second quarter was an amazing, almost 4%. And as you know, they said, oh, it'll be 2% or 1%. And it's been really helped a lot by the tariffs. It's been really helped incredibly because this is really a transition period. We went from a horrible, failed country to a tremendous success. It's a transition, and yet we did almost 4%, triple and even quadruple almost every other country anywhere in the world. Think of that. In the third quarter, we're on track to achieve an estimated 4.2, maybe more, who knows. I think if you go a couple of years out, you're going to see numbers like you've never seen because all of these places that are now under construction, they're being built, they're going to be open, and thousands and thousands of jobs, hundreds of thousands of jobs are coming in, even building them. But when they open, that's when you're really going to see the numbers. We're building some of the biggest buildings ever built anywhere in the world. The AI buildings, you know, they can cover, they show displays of them. They can cover the island of Manhattan. They're so big. They literally can cover the island of Manhattan. In 9 months, we've lifted over 600,000 Americans off of food stamps, which is a record. 1.9 million more American-born workers are employed today. Think of that. Almost 2 million American-born workers are employed today, more than when I took office. That's 9 months ago. Can you imagine that? And I tell Republicans, if you want to win elections, you got to talk about these facts, you know. It's really easy to win elections when you talk about the facts. And we have more people working now than at any time in the history of our country. Right now, we have more people working. These are things you have to talk about. It doesn't just happen. You got to tell them. It's wonderful to do them, but if people don't talk about them, then you can do not so well in elections. Wages for workers are rising at the fastest pace in over 60 years. Those are workers, and that's what we love. We love the workers. Since I took office, wages for the typical factory worker are up $1,300. Construction workers' pay is up $2,200, and miners are up nearly $5,000 this year alone. And that's good because it's not, you know, such an extra cost to the company. It really isn't. Somebody would say, oh, what's going to cost more? The fact is that they're doing such business like they've never done. You're going to start seeing numbers coming out very soon that are going to blow your mind. Under Biden, we had the worst inflation in modern history. We had inflation that was so bad, costing the typical family about $33,000 over a period of time. Their policies send food prices up 23. They come in, you know, when I first came in, I was in for 3 days, and one of the fake news members, they're all back there. That's a lot of press. Fake news. They said, egg prices are through the roof. I was there for 3 days, and this maniac, this lunatic person, happened to be a woman. Sir, what are you going to do about egg prices? And they had gone up like 4 or 5 times. I said, well, you just told me it has a problem. And people weren't buying Easter eggs. You believe it? I said, we're buying Easter eggs for the White House, for the egg hunt, the famous egg hunt. But within a couple of months, we got them down. We have a great Department of Agriculture headed by Brooke Rollins, and we did a great job, and we got them down to the level they originally were a long time ago. And we have that in just about everything. And if we don't have it, we get them down. Their policies sent food prices soaring 23%, the Biden policies. And it wasn't him. It was the people surrounding him around the desk. He didn't know what the hell he was doing. Biden.
And let's not get started on Kamala Harris's new book that she's come out with, because she knows she's not going to win the presidency in 2028. All right, let's not get started on the massive amounts of savagery and throwing under the bus that the Democrat Party did, including Jake Tapper, to the great Joe Blunder Biden.
How the hell did that happen? Well, I know how it happened. A rigged election, that's how it happened. Think of the damage done. Although I must tell you, but this is a much more powerful term. I mean, this is a much better term. In one way, it's bad to see how bad people... You're going to see the same thing in New York, by the way. You watch what happens in New York. Terrible. But you're going to see that same thing. And I hope it doesn't happen, but you're going to see it. Gas prices are surging to $5 a gallon, even higher, and mortgage rates skyrocketed by 152%. But under the Trump administration, all of that is changing. Prices are coming down very fast, and we're bringing them back to the beautiful part where you can have, and you can truly say, we're talking about the American dream again. You didn't used to hear that term. You heard it during my 4 years, and then it disappeared. Now you're hearing it again more than ever. Because we had the most successful economy in the history of our country during my first 4 years. We rebuilt the economy, cut the biggest tax cut in history. We had the biggest tax cut in history, the biggest regulation cut in history. That's why we had the great economy. And now the only difference is we're doing better this time. Actually, we're going to have a bigger, better, stronger economy than the first 4 years. And that was the most successful economy in history. Gasoline prices have plummeted to the lowest in 2 decades, and we're going to soon see $2 gasoline. Think of that, $2 a gallon. It was up to $4.50, $5. And you know, when you get gasoline and you get oil and gas down, it's so big, it's so massive, the importance of it, that everything else starts to follow. And that's what's happening. Grocery prices are way down, and Walmart just announced that the cost of their standard Thanksgiving meal, this is the greatest. They're wonderful. They come out every year with how much does a Thanksgiving meal cost compared to last year, right? And it always goes up, up, up. It's 40%, 30% more. Is 25% lower than 1 year ago. Isn't that great? That's a big deal, Rima. That's a big deal. I don't know if they care about that in Saudi Arabia, but here it means a lot. We got the princess here from Saudi Arabia. She's got a lot of cash. Serious cash, and she's a great person. So she doesn't care about the price of a turkey.
The off-the-cuff president, I have never seen it. This is amazing. This is amazing. Listen to what he's talking about, though, and listen to what really matters to the country. And if you listen to what the left is saying about what they think matters to the country, you'll see that they're far, far off the cliff or the edge or are far out of their minds.
Down a little bit, you know, just have to worry about it. Since March, the price of eggs is down 85%. Energy prices are down, interest rates are down, despite the fact that we have a total nincompoop at the Federal Reserve. It was recommended by one of my real great people, who I'd never spoke to again. And the cost of the typical new mortgage is down by nearly $3,000 a year. Day by day, we're making America affordable again. It's going to be affordable again at a really record pace. And, you know, other people are going to take credit. All the mayors and all the governors, they're going to say what a great job. They didn't do a damn thing. Yet as we speak, the Democrats in Congress are trying to put all of this progress at risk and drag us back to the Biden policies of soaring prices, crushing energy costs, massive spending, open borders. Let the world come into our country from prisons and from mental institutions. Let them pour in. And rampant inflation. That's what Biden gave us, all of those things. With the reckless Democrat shutdown, virtually every Democrat in Congress has voted to hold the American people hostage in an effort to extort hundreds of billions of dollars in new spending. They're demanding free health care for illegal aliens that just came into our country from prisons and from mental institutions, and drug dealers and drug addicts, and they want to give them $1.5 trillion in giveaways that would turbocharge rapid inflation again, as they did the first time. You remember that just a couple of years ago, 4 disastrous years we just had. They were the worst years. Meanwhile,
and they don't want that to stop. Okay, so if they talk about Donald Trump running again in 2028, but let's talk about the fact that they're still running the same playbook that Joe Biden was running on, except for the clean CR. Right? Let's not forget about the fact that these people are literally excited about a death. So one of their people that just ran, Jay Jones, was excited to see someone die, like have the kids see someone die. Like, these are things that they are that they are representing, and this is what represents them. This is what represents the Democrat Party. These are the people that represent the Democrat Party. All in one party. To me, I see a terrorist group. Yep, All in one, I know I said it. And to me, I see if you let the Democrat Liberal Socialist Union take full course, if you let them take control, then you're going to be looking at a country that's unrecognizable. You won't be able to recognize this country anymore because they still want the same Joe Biden playbooks, the same Joe Biden tax subsidies, everything that he capsuled up in the blue pill and served it to the American people. He still wants you guys to be drunk off of that. The same Medicare, same Medicaid, the same things that were not working. That's why we don't have Joe Biden as the president. So the things that they represent, that they put on full display for the American people to see, those things that they have shown you, that's an example of what they're going to continuously do if they're in power. If they take full control, and if they take back the House or anything remotely close to getting in power, they will show you that they want you to take a step back. You get it?
The radical left Democrats are causing millions of Americans who depend on food stamps to go without benefits. They're forcing federal workers to go without paychecks, and they're stranding thousands of travelers at the airports. And you understand it, and they understand it. All because they want to return to the failed Biden policies that created, and also Obama policies. I watched him the other day up talking, well, Donald Trump is a mean person. I'm not a mean person. I just want to have a country that's great again. Is that okay? I'm not a mean person. He's a mean person. He's a divider. He's a divider. Obama, Barack Hussein Obama. And by the way, ask him how he's doing on his museum library. He's got hundreds of millions of dollars of cost overruns. It's come to a dead halt. He built it in not a particularly good location. He's not into real estate, you know? He doesn't know about location. He doesn't know about location, but he built it in a location that's not going to be too good. But the thing has come to a dead halt. It's way over budget. It's sort of like Gavin Newsom in California. He's got a train that was supposed to go from San Francisco to Los Angeles, which is a stupid idea because an airplane is faster. I don't care how fast it goes. And they had plenty of airplanes. San Francisco, inside San Francisco to inside right there, LA. And what they did is they said, oh man, this has been going on for years. It's billions and billions of dollars over budget. So what they decided to do is cut it so that it doesn't go into San Francisco and into LA. It way short of both. And then they cut it again and again and again. Pretty soon they're gonna have like 2 miles of track. Billions and billions of dollars, totally incompetent. The biggest cost overrun proportionately that I've ever seen. Many, many, many times more. And it's no longer the same. It was supposed to go into the city. Now it's way short, many miles short of the city. So they're gonna drop you off and you can walk the rest of the way. That train is gonna haunt him. You watch, because he doesn't have what it takes, I tell you that. Slimy guy. He's a slimy one. Maybe that should be his nickname. Slimy Newsom, right? But he doesn't have it. But you look at that train, it's going to cost him. Republicans have voted 14 times to fund the government. And it's time for Chuck Schumer, crying Chuck. Remember he started crying at the airplanes? They were the worst forced tears. I've known him all his life. He's never cried. But he broke down in tears. He was so devastated. He didn't know why he was crying, but he just thought it was good to do. His people told him this was a good time to cry. Crying Chuck. But it's time for Chuck Schumer, the radical Democrat.
Wow, the greatest president and comedian in chief and president of peace. I mean, this is I'm all around the 100%, the full circle. This is the best president I've seen in my lifetime.
Congress to stop playing games with the people.
Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching the Jay Ravato Show. Let's get back into the video.
People's lives and to pass a clean funding bill that they've done 30 times before, and to reopen government immediately, just reopen it. They don't like it to be reopened because we're setting records. They think actually, I don't think anything's going to hurt. We are so strong now that I'm not sure that anything's going to hurt, but it would be good to open it up, take care of the people with jobs that aren't going to get paid and aren't getting paid. And no matter what, we will not let them impose their inflation-causing extremism on the American people. We're not going to pay $1.5 billion for people that came into our country illegally, okay? If you don't mind. That's what they did last time. Remember the Inflation Reduction Act? The greatest scam, one of the greatest scams. I would say some of their environmental scams were even bigger, but one of the greatest scams ever, Inflation Reduction Act. And then they admitted it had nothing to do with inflation reduction, remember? But it did actually cause massive inflation. It actually caused massive inflation. But we don't use auto pens in the Trump administration to sign things. We don't believe in that. You know, I get these guys come in with these big, beautiful documents, gorgeous, beautiful, must cost a fortune. I should check the price. But, you know, a general is being made or something, you know, some big post. And they say, sir, would you sign this, please? It's going to be a 4-star general, or it's going to be a big cabinet position, or it's going to be something with medical or whatever. I take my pen and I sign it. In his case, they walk it into a room and they give it to somebody who's no idea who Biden is. But Biden doesn't have any idea who he is either. And they have a machine sign it, the auto pen. And all of the pardons, he gave thousands of pardons to people. He had no idea about it. He didn't know about it, and therefore all those pardons are void. You know, you have to have, it's a very complicated thing if you're going to use the machine. You have to do it properly. And he didn't have any idea what was happening. And this is what we had as a president. We don't want that. You have the opposite right now. I don't want to be braggadocious, but you have the exact, I know exactly what's happened. If you want to see what congressional Democrats wish to do to America, just look at the result of yesterday's election in New York, where their party installed a communist as the mayor of the largest city in the nation. Remember, I've said we will never have a socialist elected to any post in our country. I used to say that, and I was right. We skipped socialist and we put in a communist instead. That didn't work out too well. But as I've warned for many years, our opponents are hell-bent on turning America into a communist Cuba or socialist Venezuela, and you see what happened to those places. For generations, Miami has been a haven for those fleeing communist tyranny in South Africa. I mean, if you take a look at what's going on in parts of South Africa, look at South Africa, what's going on. Look at South America, what's going on. You know, I'm not going to, we have a G20 meeting in South Africa. South Africa shouldn't even be in the G's anymore, because what's happened there is bad. I'm not going. I told him I'm not going. I'm not going to represent our country there. It shouldn't be there. Take a look at what's happening in different parts of South America. Take a look at what's happening in different parts of the world. But now the Democrats are so extreme that Miami will soon be the refuge for those fleeing communism in New They're building them right next to their plant. And they're incredible. People say they've never seen anything like it because these minds are genius. To them, an electric plant is not complicated. To them, an electric plant is better. An electric plant is not complicated. To them, an electric plant is better than the people that produce electricity, although Florida Power and Light is doing a lot of plants for people. They're pretty advanced, I have to tell you. But they're building their own juice next to the plant. Isn't that sort of a cool idea? And you know, when I first proposed that, they came into my office with, you know, they have unlimited money, but they were trying to figure out how they can build it because they had no electric of any consequence. And I said, you build your own plant, I'm going to get you your approvals in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe a month if I'm slow. We have a great man, Lee Zeldin, in charge of the environment. He's incredible. And he's tough, too. He's very tough. But they have their approval in 2-3 weeks. You know, they're dealing with the best experts in the world. They know what they're doing. It's amazing when you see some of this stuff come in, designed by guys with 190 IQs, and then you have an inspector who's not quite as smart as that, inspecting it to see whether or not it's okay, and he has no idea what he's looking at. No idea. But I said, you're designing your own electric plant. And they didn't believe it. They come in 2 weeks later, they said, the biggest problem is electric. I said, you can design your own plant. And we're going to have your approvals within 2 to 4 weeks. And they said, he's really serious about it. They thought I was kidding. It was so good, they couldn't believe it. They'd leave and they couldn't believe it. It took me 2 or 3 times to say it. Yeah, they're designing their own electric plants, and it's unbelievable. And then they're going to sell their excess electricity back into the grid. So we benefit in that way, too. In July, I proudly signed into law the largest tax cuts in American history. Now, that's the second time. I did it the first time, but these are even larger, the great, big, beautiful bill. And that includes no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security for our great seniors, no tax on Social Security. I wonder which is the most popular of the no tax on tips. You know, I was in Nevada, in my building in Las Vegas, and I had this beautiful young waitress come up to me. I never talk about beauty anymore because politically, if you mention somebody's beautiful, that's the end of your political career. So I don't mention that she was beautiful, but she was beautiful. And she came up and I said, how you doing? Oh, sir, I'm not doing well. The government is horrible on tips. I said, really? How do they tax? They tax tips? They tax us and they go after us. I've never seen anything like it. It's made my life miserable. Sir, there should be no tax on tips. She said to me, no tax on tips. I said, say it again. She said, sir, there should be no tax on tips. So we had a lot of the fake news waiting for me outside of the restaurant. So I went out and I said, ladies and gentlemen, I have an announcement to make. There will be no tax on tips. That's how it all started. And I won Nevada. I won Nevada. Because, you know, in Nevada, every job is basically, you know, you're a waitress or you're working in a hotel. No, that's how it started. So it was amazing. We won Nevada easily, which is usually not a stronghold for Republicans, but it's become a stronghold. So I want to thank the waitress. She did a great job. But when she said those words, sir, there should be no tax on tips, it's amazing. Somebody else would hire a consultant, pay them millions and millions of dollars. They'll come back and they'll say, sir, I think you should absolutely tax tips. And you'll lose the election. But we also have 100% expensing for all new factories, plants, and equipment so your businesses can write it off all in 1 year, and that's a lot of jobs you're doing and producing. That was, to me, the biggest thing in the first bill. But this is even better because this goes for a 10-year period. Upon taking office, I signed an executive order requiring that every new regulation, every time we issue a new regulation, think of this, 10 old regulations must be eliminated simultaneously. So if we give you one, you get rid of 10. And so far, for 9 months, we're exceeding that. And it's 30 to 1. For every new one we give, they're getting rid of 30 old, broken down regulations. And we've slashed nearly $1 trillion worth of regulatory burdens. We have regulations that are so old and nobody uses them, but they stymied a lot of production, a lot of jobs. And I did it the first time, and we had the largest regulation cuts in history, and now we're exceeding it this time. So it's big. It's one of the reasons we did so well then, and I think it's one of the reasons we're doing so well now. Again, we have to talk about it, because if we don't talk about it, nobody else, the fake news is not going to talk about it. And we have streamlined permitting for the new energy and mining projects. What used to take decades now takes 28 days. And on day one, I signed an executive order to unleash American energy and officially terminate the Green New Scam. Has anyone ever heard of the Green New Scam? Remember the old thing, global warming, and then it would be too cool? And then they said global cool. They didn't know what the hell to say. So they came up with the greatest, climate change.
And we all know that that's not working. Matter of fact, the guy that came out that was backing that climate change and the Green New scam, and the guy that was backing that stated on television, stated with the microphone in front of his face, that he doesn't even believe in global warming anymore. What was the guy with the Bill? What is the... You guys know who I'm talking about. He doesn't even believe in the thing that he was pushing. I think that was just all propaganda they have to ramp up the Democrat Party because they know that the Gen Zers were all earthy and everything like that. I don't know. You tell me. Someone might say, hey, you're lying on the Jay Ravato show. No, that's my opinion.
No matter what, if it goes up, if it goes down, climate change, they're very, very smart people, but not smart for us. They're smart for them. But my policy was very simple. Drill, baby, drill. We're drilling like crazy right now. And to curb inflation, we've slashed the size of government for the first time in years, and we're waging total war on waste, fraud, and abuse like we've never done before. Since January, 100,000 bureaucrats have left the federal payroll. Government spending is down 2.5% this quarter compared to 1 year ago. Think of that. And in stark contrast to last administration, 100% of all new jobs created in America under my administration have been created in the private sector. 100% of the jobs have come from the private sector. Otherwise, you don't have a country. I mean, I love government workers, but if you have all government workers, you don't have a country, do you? At the same time, my tariffs are bringing in hundreds of billions of dollars and are helping slash the deficit this year by more than 50%. Did you see those numbers? We're going to be down 50%, anywhere from 25 to 50, but closer to 50%. Who would think of that one? Those are big numbers. Now, take that out 2 or 3 years. To embrace a vital industry here in Miami, I've also signed historic executive orders to end the federal government's war on crypto. Crypto was under siege. It's not under siege anymore because it's a big industry. It's a big industry, and I have a lot of people that are great people, great business people. They're in other businesses, but they're in crypto too. And it takes a lot of the pressure off the dollar. It does a lot of good things, but we're into it. Biden was vicious on crypto. They were going after these crypto guys. It was terrible. They were under indictment, but I got indicted too. I made a phone call. Congratulations on your victory. He made a phone call. Let's indict him. These people are the worst. Then they say, he's gone after Comey. They indicted me. They impeached me. They did everything. It's unbelievable. Who the hell else could have taken that? Do you guys know anybody else that could have taken it? I don't think so. A lot of people say, you're the only one could have taken that. I don't know if that's true, but there aren't too many. We're making the United States the Bitcoin superpower, the crypto capital of the world, and the undisputed leader.
Letitia James couldn't even handle the fact that she was going to be indicted for something that she actually did. So I know for sure that this will be hard to handle, too much to bear for anybody else other than the honcho.
In artificial intelligence, we're leading China by a lot. Don't forget, if we don't do the crypto properly, China wants to do it. They're starting it, but they want to do it. Other countries want to do it. If we don't do it, it's a big industry. We're honored to be joined today by a man who has been a true champion for many of these bold policies. He really has. He's been a great guy. He was a little late in his endorsement of me, I'll be honest with you. He endorsed me. You know, these guys that endorsed me after I won, I don't know. Sir, I'd like to endorse you. No, I won the election. No, he's a good man, actually. I've known him a long time. He's helped turn the area into one of the hottest markets in the country and one of the greatest cities in the world. Miami Mayor Francis Suarez. Please, Francis, come up, please.
You're never gonna get up here, Francis.
Let me forget that one, huh?
Thank you.
Thank you, my brother.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a little shorter than you are. Oh, it's truly a great honor to be here with you this afternoon and to have you here once again in the great city of Miami. Your leadership and your vision have shaped not only our nation, but also the future of our city. Miami's success today is rooted in the values that are deeply American: opportunity, freedom, safety, and innovation. These are values that you have championed with conviction, and they are the same values that have made Miami a symbol of what's possible. When people believe in the promise of America, Mr. President, I want to personally thank you for your continued support of our vision for this city. It was an honor to stand beside you in the Oval Office when you announced the next year's G20 right here in the city of Miami. Thank you for choosing our city to host what is perhaps the most important and consequential gathering of leaders from around the world. Miami has come a long way, and we will rise to the occasion, Mr. President. On behalf of the people of Miami, it is my privilege and honor here, on behalf of my wife, the America Business Forum, Nacho, Sergio, and everyone, to give you like real estate, right?
I do.
Yeah. You like real estate, right?
I do.
Yeah. This is a key that opens some really nice presidential library real estate.
All right, you see it, we see it, we all see it first right here on the Jay Bravado Show. 131,100 people. We're all watching. The president received. I think this is the key to the city.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you very much, Francis. I appreciate it. And you know, he's really a special guy. I'm going to take this, I'm going to put it in the White House, and then I'm going to move it to Doral in about 3.5 years. We put it right in Doral, right? In the lobby of Doral. A lot of people from Doral. Well, thank you. That's a great honor. I also want to thank a man who's been unbelievable in terms of Israel and so many other things. He was a great real estate developer, but he had a great personality. And you need a personality for this. And I said, he's just as good as there is, and he's done so well. And you look at what's happened with Israel. We have peace in the Middle East. Can you believe it? Peace in the Middle East. And he's special envoy Steve Witkoff. Steve, where are you, Steve? Wherever you may be. Where are you? Steve, thank you. What a job you've done. Thank you very much. What a job he's done. That guy's got that personality. Now, I wanted a deal maker, but, you know, a lot of deal makers don't have good personalities. You end up in a war. They make the deal, but you end up in a war. This guy, everybody loved him for years. I've known it. And he was the right guy for the job. Peace in the Middle East. 3,000 years. They've never had peace in the Middle East. We're going to have it, too. We're doing well. Just keeps going along. And we just had a meeting. It's even more and more so. And so many people in this room are very much into Israel and the Middle East. And it's been amazing what we've been able to do, and you've done such a big part of it, along with a very special young genius named Jared Kushner, who helped you so much. Stand up, Jared. And he's the father of the Abraham Accords, right? He's the father of the Abraham Accords. And by the way, my granddaughter, Arabella, would you stand up, Arabella? She looks so great. I said, how are your marks in school, Arabella? Grandpa, I have all A's and A+, you know that. Like it was a stupid question I asked her, right? We're proud of you, Arabella. Jared, thank you. What a great job. And we have a lot of people joining now the Abraham Accords. And hopefully we're going to get Saudi Arabia very soon, but I'm not saying that. I'm not lobbying. No, but we have a lot of people. We have a lot of people that are coming aboard. You know, the key was when we took out the nuclear capability of Iran, all of a sudden everybody said, wow, that was nice. They've been wanting to do that for 20 years. Saudi Arabia's ambassador to the United States, Princess Rima. Thank you very much. Please stand up. Thank you. Thank you.
I remember when Carolyn Levitt was on the podium and she was talking really quickly. She was speaking about the president, and one of the journalists asked her a question, and the question was about the president's health. And they'll try to throw these questions at you and get you off of your toes, so on and so forth. But the question was, why isn't the president being transparent about his health and so on and so forth? Well, the thing is, as we can see, versus the other picture on the opposite side, what was going on about 4 years ago with Joe Biden, we could see him deteriorating on stage. This guy right here, our president of the United States, Donald J. Trump. I know you guys have Trump derangement syndrome, and some of you guys that are watching have that. But this guy right here is as healthy as a 60-year-old, 50-year-old. He's speaking articulate, making jokes. He's coherent. This is a great president. I mean, I'm excited about the rest of his presidency. I don't know about you guys, but I am. Let's watch the video.
Thank you very much. Say hello to everybody. Okay? Say hello to a great group of people in Saudi Arabia. Thank you. Stephen Miner, mayor of Miami Beach. Stephen Miner. Where is Stephen? Thank you, Stephen. Thank you. Good job you're doing. Excellent. Thank you, Stephen. The mayor of Coral Gables, Vince Lego. Vince Lego. Thank you. Thank you. Great job, Vince. The mayor of Doral. I love Doral. And I like this woman a lot. Christy Fraga. Christy. Where's Christy? Thank you, Christy. I like Doral. We also have commissioners Damian Pardo, Laura, Dominguez, Ralph Rosado, Miami-Dade Supervisor of Elections, Alina Garcia, the president of FIFA, Gianni Infantino. FIFA, where's Johnny? Whoa, Johnny, my boy. I didn't know he was gonna be here. He's big stuff. And the world, look, Johnny and I worked the deal originally, and it looked like I wasn't gonna be president because it was in this term, right? So when they rigged the election, I said, oh man, I have to run again because I want to be president when they have the World Cup, right? And look what happens, Johnny. I'm president when we have the World Cup. It wasn't supposed to be that way. But I can only tell you that the tickets are selling at numbers and record like they've never sold ever before. I heard you just told me that they're doing record business, right? The way you had the World Cup coming, think of it, we have the World Cup coming, we have 250 coming, and we have the Olympics. 250 is 250 years of age. And we have UFC at the White House, by the way, on June 14th.
What about that? What about the UFC at the White House? Tell me what you guys think about that in the comment section. I'm going to get back to that. But he's building I know you guys seen the news reported on him building the thing right in front of the White House. There's going to be a UFC match. You've seen Dana talking about it. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to watch. I might try to get front row tickets. I don't know.
That's going to be at the White House. That's going to be a tough ticket. That's UFC. But we have, think of it, Johnny is there with FIFA, and we have the Olympics. We have it all coming. It's all this thing. I'm glad I'm sort of happy the way things worked out, It's turned out to be as good as it could be. I think we've made more progress than we ever could have made in the second term. I think this is really more progress being made. We also have Formula One CEO Stefano Domenicali, and where's Stefano? Very good. That's big stuff. We have a lot of big people here today. We also have a gentleman who called my election successfully. He said, and Donald Trump will be the next president of the United States. Got a great voice. Brett Baer. Where's Brett Baer? Brett Baer. Where is he? And his son is with him, Paul. Paul's a very good golfer, so is Brett. Thank you, Brett. He's doing an interview with me right after this. Oh, is that Paul? Oh, stand up, Paul. Paul, did we take your father easily in golf? Tell me, huh? That was easy, right? Get ready. We'll do it again. Thank you very much, Paul. You look great. Also, I want to thank your two great senators, Ashley Moody and Rick Scott. And, I just left them. Believe it or not, I had a meeting with all the senators this morning. I gave them my vision because, frankly, it's always nice to have good vision. And they are two terrific senators, and they're in Washington working hard, and they were going to come. And I said, do me a favor, stay back and work on the things you're working on. They're working on really things. And Ashley is in the election. Rick just won his election. They're two great senators that you have right here in Florida. So that's really good. And they're working to make America great again. So I said, stay back in Washington. Together with many of the people here today, we've achieved more in 9 months than most administrations achieve in 8 years. It's true. We've really done a lot. We inherited the worst border in history, and within a matter of weeks, we turned it into the strongest border anywhere in the world, and they have some pretty strong borders, but we have literally no people coming through. They do come in. They come in legally. You know, we want people to come in. We want to make it real easy for them, actually, but they come in legally. So you have to know that. We just don't want criminals coming in. We don't want people from prisons. We don't want prisons dumped into our country like Venezuela did. They emptied their prisons into our country. We don't want that, right? For months in a row, 0 illegal aliens have been admitted into the United States. 0. They actually announced it. This is an official 0. Remember when Biden said, I have no control over the border?
What an amazing job and what an amazing announcement. I've known about this information. There are zero documented illegal immigrants coming across the border right now. 0. What an exciting acknowledgement. Wow. What an exciting finding to know that we're not being invaded, and they have to come in properly and do it the right way.
Millions of people pouring through, not people that you could look at them, not that we discriminate. You could look at them and say, these are not going to be perfect for our country. They were rough people that they let in. They had 11,888 murderers, 50% of which murdered more than one people. We don't want them. We're getting a lot of them out. Hopefully we're going to soon have all of them the hell out of here. Either out of here or we have to put them in jail because they're so dangerous. Some are so dangerous we don't want to bring them out. We just make sure they never come back in. But this is what they were putting in our country, and it's a disgrace. On day one, I signed an executive order to designate the drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. We had a big, strong, positive number come out just recently. The drugs coming into our country are way down. I'll tell you where they're really way down is drugs coming in through water. People are saying, no thanks. I don't think I want to ride in that boat today, please.
Yes. This is so controversial. Donald J. Trump is sending missiles. If you have a boat leaving Venezuela right now, you have lost your mind. If you're sending any boat, you could be a fisherman of many great fish. But please don't. Please don't. Maybe go fishing in Dominican Republic. Go else. Go the opposite way for the fish, for whatever you do. Because right now, if you set sail and they spot you in the ocean, right there on the canal where the drugs are going through, it's not going to be a good sight, okay?
We want you to take these drugs into the United States. You know what? I think I'll take a pass, sir. The drugs coming in by border are not much. Every boat that we hit kills, think of this, if it gets through, kills 25,000 Americans plus, but 25,000 Americans. Every time we hit a boat, we save 25,000 lives. Got to look at it that way. And we're arresting and removing thousands and thousands of dangerous gang members, MS-13, Tren de Aragua, all these gang members are being thrown the hell out of our country. And if you look at Washington, D.C., it's now a safe community. We're in Memphis now, and within 2 weeks, all of a sudden, it's like a safe community. It's really made unbelievable progress. And we're blowing up cartel terrorists, and we're blowing them up linked to the Maduro regime in Venezuela and others. Look, it's not just Venezuela. But a lot of things are coming in. Look, Venezuela emptied their prisons into our country. Nobody wants that. They emptied their prisons into our country. We're liberating our cities from the scourge of violent crime, making our country safe and beautiful again. We're starting in our capital, Washington, D.C., which right now you can walk through the middle of Washington. You have no problem. 6 months ago, that wasn't the case. 1 year ago, it was a disaster. But law enforcement.
Remember the incident that happened to the young man? And I'm not going to say his name. I just don't feel like, it's appropriate for the show. But you guys remember the guy that was a part of the FBI, or maybe even Doge, and he was beat to a pulp in the middle of the street for trying to protect the young woman, which is usually the case, which you're usually supposed to do. But he was attacked, and I think that's what started a lot of the National Guard activity, because if I was the president, I would be fed up myself just seeing an action like that that's so egregious and so just outrageous and outlandish of a young man getting beat to a pulp and no one's helping him in the middle of DC. That would cause for a pause, and that's the pause, the National Guard.
Our military has done an incredible job, actually. It's a safe, very, very safe city again, and it's been beautified. We're putting new medians in. We're covering the roads with nice, clean, beautiful asphalt. We're redoing the grass in the parks. It's really becoming beautiful again, and it's safe. We don't get calls that, think of it, call to the parents, your son, sir, has been killed. He came to see the Lincoln Memorial, and he's dead. No, that's not happening anymore. We run it tough. We run it very tough. Sometimes you have to be a little tough to get rid of. These are thugs. These are bad people. We're bringing them the hell out of our country where they came from. We renamed the Department of Defense to the Department of War. And well, if you think about it, after the Second World War, they changed it to defense, right? So we won the First World War. We won the Second World War. We won everything in between and everything before. Never lost a war. We still don't lose wars. Sometimes we don't fight to win. We'll stay around the country for 15 years, just bomb the hell out of everybody, make everybody miserable. Nobody knows why we're there, the wars that never end. But we made it clear that the days of political correctness in our military, they're over. We don't want to get into wars. I rebuilt the military. We have the strongest military by far in the world. We make the best equipment, the best missiles, the best rockets, the best everything. We redid our nuclear. We're the #1 nuclear power, which I hate to admit because it's so horrible. It's such a horrible situation if it ever has to be used. Russia's second. China's a distant third, but they'll catch us within 4 or 5 years. They want to catch us, and they'll be able to catch us. And we're maybe working on a plan to denuclearize the three of us. So we'll see if that works. But we have the strongest military anywhere in the world by far. We're investing $1 trillion in the United States Armed Forces this year. It's the biggest amount we've ever invested, and the spirit of service members is soaring like never before. We used to have recruiting shortages a year ago. You remember, you couldn't get people to join our military all around the world. You couldn't get them to rejoin. You just couldn't, no matter what you do. That we were way short. Now you can't get into our military. The waiting list, you have waiting lists to get into our military because we have spirit in our country. And all around the world, America is making peace, and we're really making peace through strength because they know they're not going to mess around with us. Nobody's going to mess around with us. You saw what happened. We made a deal with China last week, and we made a deal with Japan last week. We made a deal with Malaysia. They helped us so much. All great economic deals, all great for everybody. In 8 months, I ended 8 wars, including Kosovo and Serbia. The Congo and Rwanda, that was going on for a long time. Pakistan and India. I was in the midst of a trade deal with both of them. And then I read on the front page of a certain newspaper, I said, I don't want to mention the newspaper because it's usually fake news, but I heard they're going to war. 7 planes were shot down. An 8th was really badly wounded. But 8 planes were shot down, essentially. And I said, this is war. And they were going at it. And they're 2 nuclear nations. I said, I'm not going to make any trade deals with you guys unless you agree to peace. No way, this has nothing to do. I said, it has everything to do. Your nuclear powers. I'm not trading with you we're not making any deals with you if you're at war with each other. A day later, I get a call. We made peace. They stopped. I said, thank you, let's trade. Isn't that great? Tariffs did that. You know what? Tariffs, without tariffs, that would have never happened. Israel and Iran, Egypt and Ethiopia, Armenia and Azerbaijan, and Cambodia and Thailand. All of them were in war, starting war. Some of the wars were 32 years old. One was 38 years old. Amazing. They tried to, President Putin, I spoke to him 2 weeks ago, and he said, on the one, he said, we've been trying to settle that war for 10 years. We weren't able to do it. You got to settle. I got some of these things settled in an hour. No help from the United Nations at all. The only thing I got from them was a blank teleprompter. Remember I went up there, Princess? Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the United States of America, President Donald J. Trump, I'm looking at the teleprompters, and I have all my friends, including your family, sitting out there, 158 leaders, some in beautiful silk white robes, others in bad shirts, bad ties, and some in beautiful shirts and ties. But they're all the leaders, 158 leaders. And they're saying, President, and I'm walking up to the President Donald J. Trump, and I'm looking at the teleprompter, stone cold blank. They did it on purpose. And I think I gave my best speech. That's what I was told. But it still wasn't a great feeling. I'm walking up very slowly, you know, I'm 20 feet. I'm trying to walk slowly because I see it's not working. They're dead. They did it on purpose, but it worked out okay. Not great people. Most important of all, for 4 weeks ago, and this is very important, we brokered the historic peace deal that ended the war in Gaza, and it's a serious end, too. You know, I read a lot of people, oh, it's very tenuous. Jared and Steve, I don't think it's tenuous. Do you? I hope it isn't, because otherwise I'll have to cross it off. I'll have to say only ended 7. But that was a tough one, right? That was a tough one. But there's nothing tenuous about it. It's a serious end. Gaza has been a disaster for so many years, and I think it's an end. I think you're going to see some tremendous things happening. We just had a meeting just before I got up, and some great things are happening. And with Israel and peace in the Middle East, it's amazing, actually, what they've done. And what you two guys have done have been incredible. True. On day 1 of my administration, I signed an executive order to slash federal funding for any school that pushes critical race theory or transgender insanity on our youth. And we completely banned the chemical and surgical mutilation of our children. Think of that. Can you imagine somebody 15 years ago saying we stopped the surgical mutilation of our children? We stopped the chemical mutilation of our children. Can you imagine that? They would have said, this guy's crazy. And now you're saying, thank you very much, because you know it's true. How about this one? We got men out of women's sports. It's over. It's over. Men out of women's sports. They had a race here, the long distance, a super, I don't know what the hell, a race, one of these all-day races. They had the top women, the top men. The man won by 5 hours and 18 seconds, okay? What the hell? How about the weightlifting? 218 pounds by women. That's a lot to lift over your head, Rima. I don't know if you might be able to do it. But 218 pounds or whatever was the record. A man beat the record by 100 pounds. It stood for like 17 years or something. A man beat the record by 100 pounds. He was a failed male weightlifter, but as a female, he did very well. That's a record that won't. This is a thing that stood. They'd put a quarter of an ounce and a quarter of an ounce on each head. 18 years the record stood. Then a guy comes along, ping, ping. This is crazy. These people are crazy.
That's one of the greatest hits. That's from one of the greatest hits moments from when Donald Trump used to do the rallies. I know you guys remember when he used to get it. Still energetic with the energy on stage, and he's up there. He's animated. And this was one of my favorite jokes he brought back just now with with the trans weightlifter and the real actual woman weightlifter in the contest, and how he I remember one time she lifted it and she said ah. It was so funny. He got it above his head. He's like, ah. And that probably was the first time I seen the joke. And I said, wait a minute, what is he talking about? I clicked on the volume button, turned it up a little bit more, and he was talking about the guy lifting more weights. And it was, a wild amount more, 100 and some odd amounts of pounds more than the guy just with ease. Bing, 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 bong.
And Mandami, whatever the hell his name is in New York. No. He thinks it's wonderful to have men playing in women's sports. The swimming's good too, you know? You know the story? Records are being beaten by numbers that nobody's ever seen, nobody ever thought possible. But a lot of those records are being changed back to where they should be, and I made it the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female. And we're restoring the name of a great president, William McKinley, to Mount McKinley, the beautiful Alaska mountain I renamed. Think of that. They took the name of McKinley. He was a great president. He was assassinated. He was a great president for tariffs. He was the tariff king, and he made our country very rich. And then Teddy Roosevelt spent the money on the Panama Canal and many other things. And everyone thinks Teddy was a great president. He was. But the one who built all that money was McKinley. So we renamed the mountain back to Mount McKinley. Is that okay? I think so. I'll tell you what, who's happy about that is the great state of Ohio. He was governor of Ohio and became president, did a great job, made the country very rich. He was killed. Mount McKinley was named, and the name was taken off. And we put it back on. And I renamed the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. That was an easy one. That was an easy one, Johnny. That was easy. I looked, we have 92% of the show. I used to say when I was a child, I'd say, how come it's called the Gulf of Mexico? It's mostly America. All the way, it wraps around Florida, all the way up. It's 92% of the shoreline. I said, I think to me it's the Gulf of America. Little did I know I'd have the chance to do it. I did it very quickly. For years, our country was run by radical scoundrels and far-left bureaucrats who created one catastrophe after another, wrecking our economy, erasing our borders, and surrendering America's power and standing all over the world. But after just 1 year since that glorious election, I'm thrilled to say that America is back. America is back. Bigger, better, stronger than ever. And in conclusion, jobs are returning, businesses are booming, and America is respected again, perhaps like never before. Our country is respected again like never. They were laughing at our country. We had a guy who couldn't walk up a flight of stairs. He kept falling. It's very embarrassing. At Air Force One, I go, sir, would you like the short stairs or the long? I say, give me the long every single time, please. The short ones, they call them the children's stairs. I don't want the children's stairs. It doesn't look so good coming out of the children's stairs. Now, if the weather's bad, it's okay, right? If you don't mind. But the communists, Marxists, socialists, and globalists had their chance, and they delivered nothing but disaster. And now let's see how a communist does in New York. We're going to see how that works out. And we'll help him. We'll help him. We want New York to be successful. We'll help him a little bit, maybe. For all of these failed and discredited, really discredited if you think, ideologies of the past, their day is over, their grip is broken, and their time is absolutely done. The golden age of America has begun. And we are just getting started. It's a golden age like you've never seen before. From the steel mills of Pittsburgh to the oil wells of Houston, from the car plants of Detroit, and those car plants are pouring into our country, to the coal mines of West Virginia. Those coal mines are opening up one after another. Clean, beautiful coal. You're not allowed to use the word coal unless you say, in my administration, unless you use 2 words before it. Clean and beautiful. Biden would say, unless you use 2 words before it, here you go, clean. He said, what happened to the other word? Remember those things? He'd say 3 words and mean 2. But the West Virginia mines are doing unbelievable now. Wyoming is doing unbelievable. It's clean, beautiful coal. And from the bright lights of Las Vegas to right here in beautiful Miami, America is proud. America is confident. America is growing and successful. America is a great nation again. We're a great nation again. It's happened faster than I thought. I'll be honest again. We're respected by everybody. We are really, you see the way I get treated. I get treated that way. I guess a little has to do with me, but a lot has to do with the fact that I'm representing this country. America is respected again. America is a great nation again. The American dream is surging back to life, and we will never let the American dream die. Together we will make our country stronger, richer, safer, freer, and greater than ever before. And every day my administration will fight, 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 and America will win, win, win. I want to thank you, Miami. I want to thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to thank everybody for being here. God bless you and God bless America. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
All right, you're just listening in there to President Trump in Miami. He was joined on the stage by the mayor, Francis Suarez.
That's right. You just now watched President Donald J. Trump deliver the best speech I've seen in a while. Even the Mondani speech would, he couldn't even amount to it or equivalent to what just happened. Equal up to is what I'm trying to say. Okay, guys. Now, as you see, our President Donald J. Trump is still doing the Trump dance. He's still active. He's still energetic. What do you guys think about this? This is the best presidency I've seen in a while. I know that there are flaws. Everyone has flaws, and everyone has flaws. And I can understand that. I have flaws. Even, of course, the president of the United States would have a flaw. Of course, he would have a flaw. And this is Donald J. Trump. He's not a politician. So, it's not expected for him to do the normal political things, but he's going to do the right things for our country. And as you can see, he's done that in the last 9 months. We've seen the most active president that I have seen, the Generation Z have seen so far. Okay. If you guys are excited about the next 4 years, be excited, remain excited. Don't let anyone bring you down or make you feel like you've made the wrong decision. Even when you think you've made the wrong decision, take a step back and look at what he has done and look at what the alternative is. What about the fact that we could have had everything that he named on stage just about 10 minutes ago? We could have had the transgenders, and I know I speak about this, and I know someone gave me a comment, but this is what I talk about. The money that we sent overseas, the millions of dollars that we spent, USAID, the department funds, we spent money. The government funds that we have spent were irresponsible. Okay, at the least, those funds were irresponsible, and there's no reason why our government and the leaders in the White House should be moving in such an egregious fashion. Why? Well, because we look to them to make the best out of a already thriving country, but sometimes we hit a bump in the road, and that bump in the road, we didn't have the money. I didn't think that we had the money to spend to have everyone biting off of American funds when we were going through the inflation situation and epidemic that Joe Biden brought in right after the COVID epidemic. Everyone was in the house. The economy was, going haywire, and so what make them think that those funds could be allocated in that way? Not saying that they should ask the people, okay, do your due diligence, but allocating those funds for those type of predicaments and situations, it doesn't make any sense because it can't make any sense when you have someone that shows you a different and total example and a total different example of what right looks like. Okay, it can't make any sense now that you see what right looks like. When they when they showed us all of the funds and where they were going, when they unveiled it, I was astonished. I took a gasp of air. I couldn't believe it when Senator Kennedy was on the stand. He was talking to Mr. President, not Donald Trump, but he was talking to Mr. President about the things and the money and how they were going. He had the receipts. I was like, wow, what in the world, Uganda? Some of those countries don't even allow that practice in their country. So I was just astounded. I'm pretty sure a lot of people, other people were astounded, but the people with the blindfolds on, they were not astounded in the least bit. They're actually mad that came out and that is a problem to some people. But we are in America and we had problems that were going on. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say a counter argument about Argentina. Well, yeah, okay, so we just got $1 billion back plus, and it's probably still rolling in. I'm pretty sure that was a deal that the president made in the best interest of the country. I'm pretty sure, and if we find out otherwise, then we'll hold him accountable. It's not like the conservatives are gung-ho on stupidity. If the president does something that we don't agree with, I think that we will call that out. I know that I will. And mostly, common sense individuals will do so as well. I just don't think that the Democrat Party is ready to wake up and realize, even though that's the party of woke, I don't think they're really ready to wake up and realize the importance of putting America first and putting everything in perspective so the American people can be okay. We have the Capitol Hill stakeout camera, so I see that they're walking to Capitol Hill. I don't know what this is going to bring, but that's just a side note. We see some people coming in, but we're going to get to the Chicago daycare worker arrested by ICE. This is horrible. For that to even be possible, I know everyone's going to be like, "Oh, this is horrible." That they went in there and they arrested this girl inside of her job, and they could have did it. Well, if she would have been in correspondence with the rules and the regulatory system of the entry for the illegal citizens, or for just someone who wants to migrate to America, then she would have been fine. But now this is what's going on. Let's roll the clip and find out what happened.
Unsure of what led up to this moment, but let's listen into this here on Live Now.
Thank you. Thank you so much to Congressman Quigley, to Congresswoman Deli Ramirez for acting so fast, bringing us together today. What I want to say is that this day, unfortunately, is not unusual for many of us who have been working in the community. Every day we get calls like this, whether it's a healthcare center the other day, my son's school multiple times throughout the month, and today a daycare center. We are not okay. This type of trauma that's being put on our community is going to take all of us to change.
But okay, so my question is this. All right, guys. Okay, I have a heart, I have empathy, I have sympathy, I have all the things that makes me a human being. What are we supposed to do if you see someone breaking in your home? No matter, okay, so Isabella, she's a housekeeper. She's a nice young woman. She has on the dainty clothes. She just wants to break in and take a nap. Breaking and entering, that's illegal. And then you're going to stay in someone's home. Forced entry, and then staying in someone's home. I have a real estate degree. I just, what's the word? You guys know what I'm trying to say. Squatting. You would you be okay? I can't even say, would you be okay with someone coming in your house without your authority, sleeping in your bathroom or in your kitchen, in your living room, or even in your bed? Would you be okay with that? Would that be fine with you? What are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do? ICE isn't going after the worst of the worst, they're saying. This morning, they took a preschool teacher without a warrant in front of children in my district. That's what the lady from Chicago said. Tricia McGullen. ICE law enforcement did not target a daycare. Officers attempted to conduct a targeted traffic stop of this female. She's the illegal. Okay, so, there's the truth. So there was a traffic stop, and I guess she went into the school. Sirens over the law enforcement pursued the vehicle before the assailant sped into a shopping plaza where he and the female passenger fled the vehicle. They ran into a daycare and attempted to barricade themselves inside of the daycare, recklessly endangering the children inside. Now we're gonna listen to this video, but this is the truth that I'm getting in front of my screen right now. The illegal alien female arrested inside a vestibule, not in the school. Upon arrest, she lied about her identity, the vehicles, and that was registered in her name. Though she claims that she did not know the man who was driving her car. She did not know the man that was driving her car and picked him up from a bus stop. So she picked up a guy that she didn't know from a bus stop. Facts including criminality. Facts including criminality and information on what she stated. Okay, so what? They're gonna come on and try to fearmonger you right now. I'm gonna play it, but you have the truth. I gave you the truth first. I hope you can go back in the video and listen to what I just now said. I read that out for you. But the people that were apprehended inside of the store, inside of the daycare, they went inside of a plaza eluding the cops. Okay? Eluding the cops. All right, so now they're going to rally and try to fearmonger and race bait and so on and so forth. But the truth of the matter is she was doing a criminal act, and she was an illegal immigrant. She was evading and eluding the cops, and she was an illegal immigrant. She ran inside of a daycare, endangering the children recklessly. All right?
In the Illinois State Legislature, we work together. We work together to pass HB 1312, which has a number of provisions. And the provision that I championed was regarding childcare centers, because so many people didn't know that we were going to get to this point. But unfortunately, some of us saw the writing on the wall. Some of us listened and believed them when they said the things that they said. This weekend, our president said they haven't gone far enough. I'm sure people heard that. They haven't gone far enough. I don't know if it rang a bell for all of you, but when I saw those words, I almost shut down, because I have been living it for the last 30 to 60 days. And I understand that what he's telling these officers is to go harder, to be more vicious, to degrade these communities even more.
Okay, all right, let's break it down. Who is degrading the community? The illegal immigrant that was eluding the cops, or the cops that were doing their job? Go harder. Yeah, go harder on crime. Of course they're going to go harder on crime. What else are you supposed to do when there's a criminal evading the cops? I don't understand. Why would anyone even maybe, okay, so they don't have the facts. What is this right here? They don't have the facts. That's why they're acting in such an irrational manner. They have no information on what happened, maybe.
And it's horrific and it's scary. And we're trying to ring the alarm bell here. That's why we're here. That's why you hear our voices trembling. But we are here because we are strong. In the Illinois legislature, we passed that bill. We passed that bill with a majority. And what it will do is instruct community centers, daycare centers, to understand what their rights are, to understand that they must lock the doors, to understand that they must train their staff, to understand that they must have conversations with family members, that they must have...
They must lock their doors. Yeah, you know what? They should lock their doors, because if they did have a lock on the door, the girl would have ran to the door with no avail. She would have ran and boom, smacked the door, tried to open the door, and the cops would have caught her right before she made entry. Yep, good idea.
Emergency contact information on file, that they must know what to do. Not if, but what we're seeing when parents are taken away, like we saw today. So we had the foresight, Latino Policy Forum, Illinois Coalition of Immigrant Refugee Rights, the Illinois Legislature, the House, the Senate, and very soon the governor. The governor will be signing that bill. He has told us he will be signing it. And I invite you all to be there that day, because we must continue to stand together in Illinois to show the rest of the country who we are and who they must emulate, because Illinois is on the forefront of saving our communities and taking care of our communities. And with that, I'd love to introduce Commissioner Bridget Degnan.
Thank you. First, I'd like to thank Congressman Quigley for bringing us all here together. This is a huge showing in such a short time after such a terrible, terrible tragedy that happened this morning. So good afternoon. My name is Bridget Degnan. I'm the Cook County Commissioner in the 12th District, which covers parts of Chicago's north and northwest side. The events that took place this morning in Rayito del Sol are absolutely horrifying. As a mother, as a North Center resident, and as a person with basic empathy, I'm appalled at what has become the abhorrent treatment of our neighbors daily. Child care centers used to be considered.
So are they not going to let out the information that this person was eluding the cops? Are they going to do this whole hands chick speech? I don't know. I'm just reading the sound in the back. Are they going to do this whole charade and rant without giving the truth to the people that they're talking to? Well, you see that someone challenged me on the page and I commented back and I gave them the facts. That's what you have to do. You're not giving out any facts, ma'am. Is that the commissioner? What is this lady's name? Give it a break. See, as soon as it happened, they just jumped to the microphone and started spewing lies and without giving the full story. But we have the story. You guys have the story. I told it to you about 10 minutes ago.
Protected locations alongside churches and hospitals, keeping access to basic services free from fear. Trump and his Gestapo have made it clear that they believe no place is sacred. They've also made it clear that the legality of their actions has never really mattered. This morning's abduction shows no clear sign of a warrant, and ICE agents were observed violently dragging the Rayito del Sol employee out from the building. As the woman was forced into an arrest, she can be heard telling the agents that she has papers, a status that should be seen normally as a simple inquiry and confirmation, rather than a violent incident. This administration, and let's be clear, administration is a word we normally use to think about the administration of justice. So this is a regime. This regime believes itself to be above the law, above decency, and has no regard for the trauma they inflict. So where does this leave us? We know organized community efforts are working. Every single person that is assisting with rapid response, handing out whistles, and engaging in school patrols is making the objective of these agents more difficult to achieve. Our state and local governments are stepping up through measures like the recently passed HB 1312, executive orders prohibiting ICE from using county and city property, and barring ICE from arresting our neighbors at courthouses without a judicial warrant. Protecting our courthouses, like protecting our neighbors, is a foundation of our sense of justice, and it is especially critical at the moment. We're going to have to fight tooth and nail to hold these immigration agents accountable, and the way that we do that is through our courts. So I urge everyone to continue to document with as much detail as possible, to engage in court watch, to support legal aid groups and the Illinois Coalition for Immigrant and Refugee Rights, and to each and every one of you to know your rights. Last night across the nation, we experienced a surge in hope, affirmation that this country does not want to be subject to the cruelty of the Trump regime, that we do not just desire, but we demand and we deserve a nation that is one of morality and care for our neighbors. While we continue to experience these targeted attacks on our communities, we must let hope guide us, inspire us, and invigorate us, because this fight is far from over. I'd like to next invite up my good friend, County Commissioner Jessica Vasquez.
Good afternoon. My name is Jessica Vasquez. I'm 8th District Cook County Commissioner. First, I'd like to thank Congressman Quigley, Congresswoman Delia Ramirez for all of the support that they're providing to our communities. I will say that, a lot has already been said about what occurred this morning. To Representative Lillian Jimenez's point, we have been seeing these types of attacks in our communities for months. In January of 2025, we established the Northwest Side Rapid Response, which I am proud to be a co-chair of. The Northwest Side Rapid Response is a 500-plus volunteer network of residents who help document, provide legal resources, and mutual aid to families that have been targeted by this vicious administration through federal agents, as well as through increasing tactics that we are seeing from what we suspect are individuals undercover, perhaps also posing as federal agents. What we are doing with our Northwest Side Rapid Response Network is we are proactively patrolling areas in which we feel there is increased activity. You heard Commissioner Degnan talk about our school patrols. That is something that we are expanding. We are also looking to provide mutual aid support. As we see these snap cuts hit our neighborhoods, our neighbors are afraid to access resources. And so our network is working with Organized Communities Against Deportation, Illinois Coalition for Immigrant Refugee Rights, Arise Chicago, the Resurrection Project, a lot of nonprofit organizations that have been doing this work for decades to provide the support that our residents need. I'm calling on our residents to be a part of the work, to please get involved in your local rapid response network, to please be a part of our school patrols, to participate in any event that you feel could be vulnerable for our communities. And if you would like to get involved, please feel free to reach out to my office, to reach out to the representatives here. We would love to have you join us as we continue to document all of these incidents and protect our neighbors. Thank you. Next up, I'd like to invite Alderman Matt Martin.
Thank you, Commissioner, and good afternoon, everybody. I'm Alderman Matt Martin. I have the privilege of representing the 47th Ward, where Rayito del Sol is located. Like many parents across the city, I start off most of my mornings dropping my kids.
Okay, I understand what he's about to say, but my question is, if you guys are so concerned about the safety of your kids and the well-being of your children, then why would you be anti-ICE or anti-police because it seems like to me that these people are trying to come up with some type of resistance against the ICE agents doing their job, and they're going to try to stop them. I don't know.
It's off at our local school. Some people think of doing school drop-offs as being a mundane activity, a chore, but that's not the case for me, because I know what our schools provide. I know what they do for our students day in and day out.
All right, just listening in there to this here on Live Now from Fox out of Chicago after this.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to wrap up the Jay Bravado Show for the afternoon segment. We're going to go back live later on tonight to see what's going on in politics. And until then, let me know what you think in the comments. Overall, what we watched today, we've seen the resistance on what's going on for the health and the betterment of America. We've seen them come out against the ICE agents. We're going to go back and we're going to review that video. I'm going to talk about it more in depth. We've also seen our president give a very articulate speech on how he's turned the country around for the best and how, we are still moving forward no matter what the negativity brings, no matter how much negativity comes this way. As a unit, I feel like people would rather have us divided so they could conquer whatever the agenda is, but I say we don't bend to those type of unnecessary and egregious demands. Okay, all right, we have to use our own brain and our own common sense. Now, going back a little bit where they were talking about the tariffs and the Supreme Court, that's how the video started. We're talking about the Supreme Court and how the Supreme Court wants to limit the presidential power on the amount of tariffs he could do, or the type of tariffs, or tariffs at all. And the argument is basically that those tariffs are just taxes on the countries that have taxes on us. The best defense is offense, the best off, vice versa. And I don't feel like any tariff on a country that's been putting tariffs on us for years is wrong to do at all. But you guys let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Give me, your best input on the videos of what you're thinking about what's going on in the current state of our nation. What do you think about what happened last night with Mandami, the commie? All right, let me know what's going on in your mind. Give me your thoughts. I love to hear them on the Jay Bravado Show. Until next time, I love you. Be kind to your neighbors. Thank you for watching the Jay Bravado Show. See you on the next one.